Bum, dun, 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 dun. Hey! Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Bum, dun, dun, dun. It's really weird. Multi-chat doesn't work for YouTube early on. YouTube, say something again really fast. I just pulled up the YouTube stream to edit some settings. And I saw a couple of messages that I didn't see, even though multi-chat has it on. But I guarantee if somebody says something in YouTube chat now, I'll see it. But like the first minute or two, I almost never see YouTube chat. Like Quentin, Zarika, Steve. Yeah, see, it's delayed now. I see it now. Weird. So, hello, Zarika, Quentin. I always ego, I guess, YouTube chat for the first 60 seconds. That's annoying. I need a good picture for today. Do I really have a good picture for today? I don't think I really do. This is so corny. Honestly, this is so horrific. We might have to do this one. Oh, it's such a bad picture. No, stop. How's everyone's week been so far? Open? No, stop. Select, right click. There. Open with the current state of Ramatra? Maybe, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, maybe we can talk about Ramatra sometime. It's an old picture, but it's funny, so give a frick. Didn't fix his hair yet? Spilo washed? Yes. Spilo's always washed. Always clean. Woke up with info about Russian drones flying over, so not great. Yikes, dude. That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. I've got my perk notes here. I have so many notes. Hi! Okay, I'm actually reading chat now. Hello! The problem with perks is they push the game into a highly Danish direction. Yep, good point. Thank you for that, Sarah Lee. Hi there, pal. Hey, Queenie, how are you? How are you? I coached Wuyong today, so that was fun. First time. This problem with perks, my dealer disagrees. Problem. Perks. What channel is a mess? Thank you, Taco Cat. Always sacrifice your sleep for me. Always. Sacrifice everything. Lost the student of your favorite ring, sadly. Okay, that's good. At least you got it sorted out. Hey, Wooloo.
Problem with perks is that they are highly addictive while also having long-term
Thank you,
medical
Wooloo.
consequences.
I don't care about your feedback. Hello, Varashi. Yeah, sorry about the late start. Very busy day. You guys know how Thursdays go. Very, very difficult days. Lots of work prior to stream. So, you sacrifice breathing for me? That's good. It's a good choice. It's a good choice. Always a good choice. You've now died? All right. As long as you share your personal information with us so that we can cash you out. You get what I'm saying? Then we're okay. You sick and slept for 16 hours? Well, hope you feel better, mate. Sorry to hear that. Doesn't care about the Percocet addiction? I do not. At all. You'd sacrifice all your combs and pics? That's funny. Why you add selfies to your going live posts? Oh, it's mostly just to be stupid. Most of them, I try to find something either interesting or goofy. Like the crow one, just something random. Or the funny, or the meme, the Disco Elysium meme, the One Froggy Evening meme. Just funny pictures. One of them's from when I was like 11 years old. Jolly, thank you for the sub. How are you, my friend? Like the picture there is just total cornball. Haven't been playing. I played it recently. Yeah, I finished it. Not too long ago. There's only 1.5 more games before I've finished up my gaming quota for this year. Red Dead Redemption 2, which is going to take me forever. And Varashi will be pleased to know Journey is the other one. I'll probably play that in an afternoon at some point. Thank you, Timothy. The Edari perk for her beam healing, it's really bad. It's really, really, really bad. The idea is not bad, but the execution is just, it's really weak. You get unbanned in 4 days? Nicely done. Do you play that on stream? I don't play anything on stream. Maybe I should. I don't know. Hey, what's up? How are you, Dario? My problem is that everyone's like, play it on stream, and I'm like, I play it on stream, and you know, everyone says they want to watch it. We'll see. I played a little bit of Night Rain stream, true, but I've played very little of Night Rain stream. Most of my Rain's been off stream. Expedition 33, it's on the list. It's on the list. I buy a bunch of games during Black Friday and play them interspersed throughout the years. Hope you like Souls games. I wouldn't say I like Souls games. I'd say I like Sekiro and I like Elden Ring okay. Elden Ring, I think, is a very flawed game, but does a lot of things right for every flaw. Whereas Sekiro, I think, is a much tighter experience with, obviously, much lower replayability. But I've heard a lot of mixed things about Dark Souls 1, including one of my friends who I've watched play a little bit. And it looks fun in some ways, but may not be my speed. Looks like the Overwatch 1 equivalent, you know what I'm saying? Highly recommend Dark Souls 1? Alright. Maybe, we'll see. The backseating can be bad? Yeah, a little bit. Everyone's like, oh, you're a video games coach. You're try-harding every single moment of every single day, right? And I'm like, please just let me relax. I play harder games usually. I found a lot of the harder games I've played pretty relaxing, but I like to just kind of go at my own speed. It's quite short but memorable. Good to know. But yeah, I bought a lot of stuff last Black Friday for really cheap. And off and on, I was able to play it down. And yeah. Yeah, maximize your downtime, exactly. Overwatch is the most stressful game, in my opinion, that I've played before. More stressful than Night Rain, more stressful than Sekiro, more stressful than, I mean, I guess anything else I've played. Balatro, I've played a little bit. Everyone was obsessed with Balatro and convinced that I would like it, but I played a couple of them and I'm just like, I was like, I'd rather just play a better board game. But that's me. That's a bit of a harsh take because I come from like a board game background, and I'm like, it's very board gamey, and I'm like, I can literally just play a board game version of this. Have I played Deadlock? A little bit, yes. It's definitely a game that I could see myself getting into in the future. I like the hero design of Deadlock a lot. I'm unsure on the MOBA aspect. Not saying I dislike it, it's just very different. Spire? Mm-hmm. I've played Portal too. I don't know if that counts as a puzzle game, but... At what rank should I join voice chat? Maybe GM. I don't know. It's up to you. Portal definitely counts. Yeah, I really liked Portal 2 a lot. That was great. But I like Portal 2 less for the puzzle aspect. I mean, it was fun. I would challenge myself to not to use any hints whatsoever. And it's not like impossibly hard, but some of the ones are pretty tricky. So no hints, you know, which is cool. Makes you feel smart, even if they're not super hard. But I just like the story. I like the aesthetic, the humor. I like that kind of stuff better. I have not played League, no. Deadlock is definitely more MOBA than shooter. Yeah. Balatro world record holder. Wow. Yeah, Portal 2 is just really fun. Really, really, really fun. I'm thinking at some point, maybe we'll do a tier list of... Would you guys be interested in a tier list of the games that I've played this year? That might be fun. Because this year I've played more games than I have in my entire life. I actually am not much of a gamer, but people have been like desperately please play this, please play this, please. So I was like, all right, fine. Black Friday, boil down, do something relaxed. Portal 2 co-op play. Pepper generally watches like half the games I play. She always gets the memes or whatever, but without really playing it. She used to try to watch Portal, but she would always get carsick. Wheatley? Yeah, Wheatley was freaking obnoxious. Freaking obnoxious. He reminds me of like those mid-2000s, like... You know, okay. Who is the actor that's... plays Bilbo Baggins? He's the... Huh? Huh? He plays the same character in every movie he does, and I despise him. Huh? What? What? Huh? What? Martin Freeman. Dude, holy typecasted. I hate that guy so much. Not as a person, but I freaking hate his acting. It's the same freaking obnoxious, self-aware, but like clueless moron in every single character. Yeah, he freaking plays the same character, Watson Charlie. I despise him so much. And I know it's not, I don't think, it's not Martin Freeman, the voice actor, but it reminds me so much of him in Portal. I'm just like, dude, shut you. Thank you for the sub, dude. Drives me nuts. Yeah, I saw that Ninja. Yeah, I've actually watched one of those videos with Pepper, the Elden Ring one. He's not that great to work with. Good, interesting. But yeah, I despise the robot because it reminds me of Martin Freeman, and it makes me irrationally angry. Hello, Geozef. Jesse Eisenberg. That sounds vaguely familiar. But yeah. It is intentional for Wheatley? Okay, good to know. Well, they did a great job because I freaking despise that character. I like the villains. But what do they always say? They were saying about this about Kiriko, right? It's better to be evil than annoying. Oh, the guy that is Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah. It's literally better to be evil than annoying. You know? Just shut up. But yeah, maybe we'll do it. I almost want to do a tier list now. Frick, dude. I said we do problem with perks though, so maybe we'll do problem with perks first though. Won't be annoying, be evil, yeah. Do you think Echo would be broken with the hitbox reduction? I don't think she needs it right now. Interesting question, though. Okay. So, why did I do that? Because I hate Ana. I want her to freeze down in the ice. You get what I'm saying? Time for another tier list. All right, so we've prepped a lot of stuff on this discussion. Little shout out to Ralph as well. You guys know Ralph, the Overwatch commentator dude, for providing some additional thoughts in here that I used on some of the later points. Because I like the way that he frames some stuff, but we'll talk about that later. Basically, I want to talk. Let's do our typical YouTube. Oh frick, guys! I have to remember we're YouTubing, because whenever I'm practicing from stream to YouTube, so I'm practicing that. You know what I'm saying? So you guys gotta bear with me. No, not a proper YouTube intro. Well, should we do a proper YouTube intro? We don't necessarily need so for the discussion. We only have to do it for the guide. How Hey, I guess you're here and want to talk about perks. My name is Spilo, and let's talk about my problem with perks, or at least certain problems. I've got some notes here, which I'm going to be doing my best to not be looking at because that's unprofessional, but I'm going to be doing it anyway because I'm really bad at this. So, what was the purpose of perks? Let's start off with why did perks come out here? Obviously, they came out. I mean, they've communicated this as a way to provide replayability, provide variety, a fresh new way to experience the game. Let's be honest, guys. It is an engagement tool. It's supposed to, and by that, I don't necessarily mean it in a cynical way. It's just fun. It's fun to play with perks. They're new things. They're flashy things, and they get people replaying Overwatch because they, in many ways, provide multiplicative value about the character that you're playing. Especially with some of the more well-designed perks, there's just a lot of new things to try. So that's what perks are. And to be very clear, I really like perks. We'll talk about this in a second. But what perks isn't, or what perks shouldn't be, or what they were not necessarily communicated to intended to be, is number one, a way to balance the character. Number two, a way to fix counterpicking by itself. In other words, it's not going to solve counterpicking by itself because, again, it's just the same way with balance as it introduces volatility about whether the character is balanced only if you have the perk or whether they have the perk or not, right? It's volatility we don't want. And number three, perks shouldn't be a way to fix hero design because it doesn't necessarily address root issues. And we've seen a couple of tweaks on this about this character has more counterplay options because they have perks, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Oh, this character is a little bit healthier to play because of some perks, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's bad, but it doesn't really address root issues. A game's number one goal, obviously, is to be fun. New things, toys, adjustments are fun, and I really do think perks have been very, very successful at that. Everything in this critical analysis is done from the opinion that perks can be bad for balance, but are really fun for the game. I am personally a big fan of perks, but I would like to see a little bit more consistency and caution in their application. That's just the way I see it. So what I'm going to kind of try to do with this discussion is really segment it into different topics, things that either I feel about perks or that I feel the community communicates or feels about perks, to kind of address some legitimate concerns, maybe to myth bust a couple of things here, and then crucially not just criticize perks, but actually come up with some feedback about the way I'd like them to do perks moving forward. Because I do think that we have been progressively improving the perk system as we've gotten better, which not a big surprise there, but I think that there could still be some room for improvement. So, number one, how many of you guys know or have heard the term power creep in association with perks? Right? I mean, I hear it basically more so than anything else. Power creep, power creep, power creep, power creep. Okay, so what is power creep? Power creep is the usually inevitable upscaling of power as we add new things for fun to the game. People get new shiny toys, then everybody else has to get that new shiny toy, and then everybody has a new shiny toy, but then now it's not shiny anymore, so they got a new shiny toy, and then they got to catch other characters up, and so on. So the problem with power creep is that it really can be difficult to keep everyone on par without leaving behind other characters. Basically, ask yourself which heroes didn't get good perks, right? So you talk about characters like Tracer, you got Ana, and so on. Zen last season was a power crept character, or a victim of power creep, because Zenyatta didn't have good perks at all, and a lot of the other supports did. And his base kit wasn't buffed to compensate, so Zenyatta kind of didn't do all that well. And you'll see this all over even May, right? Like this season, right? They made her perks healthier, I think, but a lot of other characters just got free shiny new things. Brig, I agree, is a victim of power creep. Her perks, again, feel a little bit more, Kiss Curse. There's a little bit more variety in the minor and major combos that you can't combo for crazy broken benefits anymore. But Brig just doesn't quite have as much going for her as some of the other sports do. So it also can break systems. I don't think this happens as much in Overwatch because I don't think there's as many relevant systems in Overwatch, like health packs, objectives, maps, and so on like that. But it happens in other games. One little detail thing that definitely changed in Season 9 is with everyone's health that went up, the value of health packs actually went down. So that was something like, as we power crept our health up, the value of health packs and things like that just mattered less. It's really not that big of a deal, but it's worth pointing out that occasionally can be an issue. But this is the big one, and this is probably the most important problem with Overwatch's power creep in the past, is it can break matchups. So you talk about, like, if you're playing Mercy on a whatever, let's say Zenyatta into Tracer, prior to maybe this season, okay? And maybe even this season. Zenyatta's matchup versus Tracer was very difficult, right? Difficult to beat Tracer, but Tracer recalls her mobility, which was her biggest strength versus Zenyatta, is then gone, right? Like, she has resources to spend. So if you look at Tracer gets her recall perk, right? It basically takes what Tracer does and then amplifies that significantly. So then Tracer's matchup versus Zenyatta just got significantly worse for the Zenyatta. So you have a counter-picking dynamic that, in theory, perks are supposed to alleviate in different ways. And this was communicated. This is not just me injecting my opinion into things. This was communicated to us. And it can get worse. Roadhog, trap perk, before the rework, right? Roadhog got a trap perk where he got more resource off of 8 for hitting trap. So Roadhog's matchup in the front line became even more toxic versus tanks that were struggling versus that matchup. It just made him stronger at things that he was already strong at. Now, they did fix a lot of these things. They have addressed and downscaled many of these things. But that is the danger of power creep, is that you need to be very careful about where you're applying that power, because you don't want to make a character that's already wildly strong in one aspect even wildly better in that aspect. You end up making counterpicking worse. Now, the counterpoint to that is that, okay, it takes time for them to build up that perk, which is true, but the point being is that you still have created that dynamic, and it can be even worse if the counter-picking option for the other hero, for example, Winston's Chain Lightning is pretty good against his counters, but it's not something that he gets until his major perk. He doesn't have it for the vast majority of the game. We'll talk more about that later, but yeah, just keep that one, keep a bookmark on that one. So keep an eye on matchups. So power creep is not inherently a bad thing, but it does require careful management and constant upkeep. Things like the Winston Major, we've already talked about that, like the Bastion Major perks with like the heal, for example. I think did a decent job of making those characters more powerful without significantly making certain systems or certain matchups worse. Like Winston's not more OP versus tanks really with either of his perks, like his major perks. It's not that much worse. Winston is not like oppressively stronger on diving backlines with either one of his major perks. Is he stronger? Yes. Is he technically stronger at doing that? I mean, yes, I guess Chain Lightning does help him dive backlines slightly better, but it's a very, very minor buff in relation to what he can do outside of that matchup. And that's the important thing here. It is also obviously an important question of how much more powerful do you want the entire cast to be? Like how much more power creep do you want to introduce for the entire Overwatch cast, right? Obviously, you guys saw us speak with Custa week before last. Talk about like the Kiss Curse vision of the perks has changed, where there's not as many perks with upsides and downsides. They're more okay with just perks being flat buffs. I think this is probably fine again when done well, but they're more okay with perks being a little bit of nerfs, Kiss Curse, if they're more transformative. In other words, if a perk changes how you use a cooldown, maybe there should be some upside, downside. The highlight should be on the change and a slight buff, not just more value. Let me give you an example of that. Soldier's new major perk. His heal station is highly transformative, the new major, right? So this new major here is Stim Pack, okay? So basically you can move around with your heal and you get more attack speed. That's a huge buff. However, it also comes with a transformation where you do a lot less healing with your heal pack. Now, overall, it's definitely a net buff, but they're more willing to, when something is transformed aggressively, they're more willing to dial back or nerf certain aspects of the healing, which I think is good. It should be that way. Hey, Anna. So that's the way I look at things. I think if perk is very transformative, which I think a lot of perks should be, then I think it's okay to have those perks be nerfed, because the more interesting aspect of it is the change, not the buff. Okay, let's talk about transformative, because we've been really hitting on that term. What does transformative really mean? Why does it matter? Let's keep going. It's a term that Blizzard likes to use with perks. It's basically changing the way you like to play. It was like the key frame, right? The key phrase, right? Basically changing the way that you think about an ability. We just talked about that with Stim Pack, about how, oh, wait a second, how would I use Healing Station of the Soldier? Well, it changes significantly, but it goes a lot deeper than that. You even have little minor things like melee, right? With Sigma's new major perk, all of a sudden being a question of like, is melee just something that weave in damage? Or with your new your major perk that knocks people back, do you actually use melee to knock people away from you? So it's something that you actually thoughtfully manage, which is, I mean, melee is not even really an ability. It's just something that you just use occasionally. So it completely changes how you use the ability, which from an engagement fun perspective is really, really, really good. It basically introduces more variety, more critical thinking without completely destroying or changing the hero identity. And if you think about like what are everybody's favorite perks, usually you're going to find transformative. And not just from a fun perspective, right? Like Zenyatta's floating around, that kind of a thing. But even things along the lines of like actually making the character a lot more interesting to play. I'm going to come up with a little bit of an interesting one here. Moira's Orb. Now, this is maybe not transformative enough, but the whole reversal concept gives Moira something extra to think about. It means that you're not always just sending an orb through the maximum number of enemies or winning a duel. Now you actually have a rewind that you can actually leverage before the orb even strikes the target. It changes slightly how you use the ability and requires a little bit more brain power. And I've played a couple games with it. It's fun, man. I don't know if it's the best perk. The other perk is really, really good too, which, by the way, that's also a little bit transformative because you can cancel it early. But it's really interesting. It's definitely stronger, but it's not just a buff. It's also a transformation. Blizzard wants these to be mostly major perks so that you feel a progression of your playstyle throughout the match, but I'm actually going to nitpick at that a little bit later, so hang tight. So we're being a lot of positive things right now. We'll get to some of the things that I would change, especially about that transformation. It is crucial that for a transformative perk to be considered a transformative perk, it must change how you behave, otherwise it's not transformative. Right, it doesn't change what you do, so it's not actually transformative. It's just free value. A good example of that one, from a critical standpoint, I think is Cassie's Double Hinder. Now, I don't know that this is intended to be intended to be transformative. A lot of minor perks are not intended to be transformative. However, this doesn't change how I use Flashbang. Really, very little, if at all. If we go even to his major perks, the gunslinging, critical hits with primary fire reduce the cooldown of combat roll by 3 seconds. Again, doesn't change what I'm really doing. It's basically just playing Cassie, but more so. But Silver Bullet, whether you like that or not, is new. It's different. It might change how you think a little bit. That's more just addition, but we'll talk more about that. Now, the key thing about transformation isn't just variety of gameplay, but also it can have a chance in helping versus counterplay. We've danced around this topic a couple of times. We've talked about it a little bit. Let's go in a little bit more depth. Overwatch will always have soft counters. Always. In fact, I'd go as far to say that Overwatch will always have medium counters, and I think it's good. Part of the hero design of things is that things are just naturally going to be good versus other things, especially when you introduce map dynamics. And I don't think that we should ever go to a point to where there is no such thing as at least a soft counter. There should always be that. That's what adds interest and flavor in things. However, I am a fan of dynamism. In other words, things being able to do a lot of different things, maybe not the best, but at least having options. But there will always be strengths and weaknesses to provide flavor and personality. Crucially to note, modern game design, from what I've experienced in my little bubble, definitely seems to introduce more options, more flexibility, without as much rigid cookie cutter class design. I personally like this approach a lot. You can see it from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2, but you can see it even in genres outside of Overwatch. Overwatch has proven they can introduce characters with clear dynamism, but clear strengths and weaknesses. Obviously, Wu Yong, you've got Freya, you've got Hazard, you have Juno. These are characters that have some pretty clear weaknesses, but they aren't completely at the mercy of certain characters. They are able to express skill in different ways. Now, transformative perks can be very powerful in assisting these strengths and weaknesses situationally when done well. If a major perk is not transformative, okay, bear with me, because that's what they're aiming for anyway, it does run the risk of sharpening hero design and making counter picking worse. You understand what I'm saying? Some characters can get away with being a little bit stronger because they don't necessarily on paper hard counter everything. Let me give you an example. Soldier, we talked about the Kiss Curse of one of his perks, but we didn't talk about his other sprint perk. There are no downsides to agility training, faster movement speed. It is also not transformative. It does not change how you use sprint, nor does it change really how you use reload. It just allows you to do it for free. It is the definition of free value. But the reason why he gets away with it, quite literally, is the fact that Soldier doesn't really have a sharp design. So he's not in a position to where he's going to make a lot of people complain. Because he's, by design, a generalist. And so him being better at a generalist might make him OP, but it doesn't hard counter every character in the game. The concern is with a perk like sprint training would be given to an already sharp character design, like Sombra, like Widow, like, Mercy in some aspects, Orisa, Roadhog. Now you might be asking, what's the definition of a sharp hero design? Basically a character that's really good at one thing and only good in one thing, usually. Oftentimes it's a range signature or a playstyle loop. We won't delve into it today, but just keep an eye on that. Additionally, being locked into perk choices, which is a good thing, right? Otherwise, it would just be total chaos. Thank you for the sub, by the way. Can also exacerbate this if not done carefully. Let me give you guys an example. How many times have you been told Winston Chain Lightning perk is pretty good? Well, you should have been told that it's really good versus counter picks. Clumped Heroes, Malga, Bastion, Reaper. Chain Lightning helps. It's not a solution, but it definitely helps. That's going to be that other major perk. It allows you to get a little more damage at range, which is and then just a little bit more ult charge, a little bit more pre-pressure, gives you something to do between your bubble cycles, which usually are very long. But the problem with that is, what if you didn't choose Chain Lightning? What if you, it's too late now, but what if I chose the heal bubble instead? Because, they're just playing like a dive comp, so I'm going to pick my heal bubble, right? And then they swap to Bastion, Torb, Roadhog, and your bubble goes boom. And you're getting 30 healing in your heal bubble, where before you're getting 200, right? So your entire purpose of picking the bubble, the circumstances completely changes. And now you are being counterpicked, but to make matters worse, you've already locked yourself out of the ability to play around your counterpicks. And those characters, sometimes, not always, but some of the worst perk designs are characters that are going to make your life miserable. And as they get perks, it gets even harder. Doesn't happen very often, that's true, but it's something worth considering. I don't think, what I'm not advocating for here, crucially, is the ability to change the perks that you have necessarily. What I'm saying is this is why it's so important that with sharp hero designs, that perks do not sharpen those designs more so than necessary. I would argue that I think with sharper designs, the importance of transformative perks becomes even more important towards things that they're not necessarily already good at. Transformative perks must not double down excessively, otherwise they inevitably make counterplay worse and reduce thoughtfulness and variety because there's not even a thought about which perk you should choose in that given situation. The entire reason you want transformative perks in the first place is to add variety. This isn't just about competitive balance and design. This is also because it's fun. If I feel that I have to choose this perk because they're playing Winston, then that makes everything a lot more boring. Just boring. Now, last point here before we get into some of the Relf's discussion stuff here. Or perks make the game easier. How many of you guys heard that argument? Perks is free value, makes the game easier. There's a lot less punishment for making mistakes because you can just get out of jail free. How many of you guys heard that? Do perks make the game easier? And there's a reason why we're timing this right after my complaints from the counterplay session. The answer is yes, it does. If the perks are not transformative enough. In other words, if you're giving certain gameplay loops that are really easy and you're making those gameplay loops even stronger, then that character is easier to play because you no longer have to put as much thought into the gameplay loop with the character. However, it's not really through power creep. See, one of the common misconceptions is that because power creep equals making game easier. That does not make sense. That is the equivalent of an inflational economic model where if we all have more money, we're all richer. And that's just not the definition of wealth. Everybody having more, when everybody's super, nobody is. Everything in a PvP game is relative because you're playing versus the more power-crept enemies as well. If your character is disproportionately stronger due to poor balancing, or if your matchup takes significantly less thought due to poor transformative perks, as we've already said, then the answer is it is easier, but it's not always the case. If Orisa Ramattra perks allow you to AFK, turn your brain off, punish tank more, the game is easier. If Orisa Ramattra is rewarded for staging, moving, aggressing on backline, and taking space more, finding openings, the game might actually be harder for Orisa Ramattra. If Tracer has more blinks, but has more threats versus Squishies. In other words, she has more blinks, but those Squishies have more threats versus her. It's about the same. However, if Tracer has all the blinks in the world and the Squishies have no additional way of defending themselves, it is definitely easier for Tracer. Do you see what I'm saying? So the answer is it depends. It depends. You've never heard anybody say the game makes the game easier? The power, dude, maybe I'm in the wrong sections of the internet here. There's a lot of sections, especially a lot of the old Overwatch 1 purists. So my opinion is that perks have raised the ceiling globally for every character. However, many characters' floor is lowered a little bit, for sure. Because certain matchups have just become easier. And those matchups are very common, if that makes sense. Well, I'm not responding to a lot of comments right now. You got to let me get in my soapbox. You get what I'm saying? I've spent all this time prepping my notes. I'll get there. The key thing here is that more utility is more responsibility in PvP game design. More utility, listen, read my lips. More utility is more responsibility in a PvP game design. Because the more that you have, the more that you're expected to perform. It's really important that people understand that. Now, that's not the case if you were to play versus an AI or an NPC whose difficulty has not been scaled up. But if you're playing versus people with more tools, you're required to use those tools better. It's very important. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't a limit. Why don't we have 12 buttons? There are certain things that should be done, simple, like limiting ourselves, but that's not necessarily done through a difficulty thing. It's done through, it's just more svelte. It allows you to focus more intently on the cooldowns that you have. If you ever played an MMO, it can be a little bit button mashing for the vast majority of people, and they won't even use half of their buttons. So I want to talk about some Relf notes here. I'm not going to pull them up. I'm going to paraphrase them. So again, Relf, you guys know, is a friend of mine, Overwatch coach, content creator, Twitch streamer, does a lot of YouTube analysis, a lot of gameplay, game design analysis. And so I'm going to read some of his critiques off. And these are more along the lines of interesting points that I think he makes. I'm going to briefly rattle these off, and then we're going to kind of use some of those ideas to kind of form my feedback to wrap this up. Okay, number one. Ralph talks about there is an inconsistency with minor perks being buffs and majors being transformative. Let's talk about Malga right now. Looking at Malga's perks really quick here. Is this first perk here transformative? Pyromaniac, igniting enemies with incendiary chain gun grants 50 over health. Now, you at first thought you might be, well, no, you're just shooting people. But wait, the intention, even with talking with Custa about this, was that you're rewarded for poking squishies a little bit. So it's a little bit transformative. A little bit transformative. We'll keep going. What about his major perk? Combat Fuel. Critical hits grant Malga 2 temporary overhealth and cardiac overdrives next use up to 100 overhealth. Is that transformative? Not really. Not as much. Like, you're not about the same, right? So, like, which one is which here? Now, Firewalker is incredibly transformative. Combat Fuel is significantly less transformative. You get what I'm saying? So you could honestly flip-flop the two and nobody would even notice the difference. Now, that would be, you'd be like, but wait, why you couldn't flip-flop the flu? Because Combat Fuel is way too strong for a minor perk, or you could say that Pyromaniac isn't strong enough to compete with Firewalker. You get what I'm saying? So, but now we're talking about two different things. Is it the power scaling that makes something a major perk, or is it the transformative make it the perk here? There's inconsistency here. And that's, I think, what Ralph is getting at. And you can see the same thing with Hazard. I'm going to demonstrate Hazard perks as well. You can tell I'm just not moving my face cam here, so I don't give a frick, man. Okay. Spike guards gain 25% lifesteal. Is that transformative? Yeah. It's a lot more transformative than his other major perk. Jaguar charges Spike guard with 25 energy up to 50% extra, or 50 extra. That is more transformative than Reconstitution. That is more transformative than Reconstitution. Reconstitution is not transformative almost at all. Actually, I'll go more than that. Even if you could argue, Explosive Impalements is also not that particularly transformative either. What I'm saying is that there is a lot of gray area in this. Now, again, I'm not providing solutions here. I'm not even being fully fair with my criticisms. I'm saying that there's some questions here. There's a little bit of inconsistency. We'll talk about what my suggestions are later on. So there's a tendency for major to be more powerful, obviously not transformative. How literally does this need to be a transformative or buff adherency need to be? Here's another question. Is transformative enough in certain circumstances? There's stuff like map transformative. Like, for example, Zenyatta is clearly transformative, but it's not strong enough Ascendance to really be a major perk. But the question is do we want to move Ascendance to a major perk if we made it stronger? Because then you wouldn't be able to use it on the maps where we want to use it. It may not feel strong enough to be a major perk, therefore it's minor. But then you look at something like a Sigma's perk, which is the same exact thing, and it's a major perk. Comes up too late in the map to be relevant. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, I'm going to give you my answer here. So there's a lot of criticisms also of transformative playstyle perks like Winston's right click. I disagree with that. I disagree with Ralph. I think it's transformative enough to be decent. But is Bubble Heal with Winston transformative? One of the things that my questions has been even little things like Willy Willy, like when recalling Jagged Blade, it does an extra 30 damage. Is that really transformative in comparison to, we'll say Savage, we'll be charitable. We'll say Savage Satiation, which is more lifesteal in your Carnage. That feels transformative enough in the fact that certain matchups that don't feel great for Junker Queen feel better. But I don't know if it's really that transformative, and Willy Willy doesn't feel all that transformative either. And then if you get to defensive options, let's go to Ramattra. Does Ramatra's transformation with his heal vortex, we'll demonstrate that really fast, is this transformative enough? And then you could say, yeah, of course it is. Yeah, I mean, look, you heal, I'm not always vortexing myself. That's true. But does he need the help in that? Is that really survivability in that direct zone really a problem with Ramattra? Right? Let's look at on a nade. Does bounce nade transform how you use nade? And is that something that Ana struggles with? When people get up close in Ana's face when she has nade, is she that incredibly valuable? I don't My point being here is some of these perks do not feel transformative. And or they double down on things that they're already pretty decent at doing. They're not changing. Remember, the value of transformative is changing very specifically how you're using the ability. Ralph's argument here is it doesn't always do that. We're looking for more aggressive capability without reducing interactability. So we've got a lot of perks where their whole structure is just kind of wonked. So let's talk about my suggestions then, okay? And I'm going to give you guys some examples here. I'm not just going to give you my spiritual, the spirit of what I'm trying to accomplish here. I'm going to give you some specific thoughts. Number one is I want a specification and a clear communication of the purpose of what perks are supposed to do. I'd like restrained power creep, personally, that's more focused on transformative variety instead of raw power creep, thus allowing for more quality of life base kit additions. Listen to what I said one more time. It's really important. I want perks to be more focused on transformative variety instead of power. And the reason why I want that is not because I'm the power creep enemy. It's because I'm for power creep, but I want power creep as part of a base kit addition. Because I think the transformative value in terms of making people want to try and play the character is more than enough to get people playing the game. And that the quality of life of allowing yourself headspace to be able to give people free things because it's just fun shouldn't be tied to perks. Let me give you an example. Lifeweaver's freaking super bloom, he just needs to have that all the time. All the time. Never. It should always have super bloom. But prior to this recent patch where he got nerfed really hard, I don't think it would be balanced for him to do so because his perks were too strong. The 10%, the 10 healing per second or whatever, it was just too good. And it wasn't transformative. It just was more, right? So I want power creep through the base kit that allows every person playing the character all the time to feel better. And then more transformative, more interesting, more thoughtful, more map/matchup options available through perks. Another example here, May's speed, heal, and ult. So this is one of my ideas with May, right? The allies within Blizzard gain 25% increased movement speed and heal for 50 health per second. I really like this perk, obviously. You know what, though? It's freaking kind of weak. It's just not that great, especially considering what we lost. So you know what? I want May to have this with a perk all the time. I just want a base kit permanently. So that it changes how you use Blizzard all the time. You know? I want the whole... Why does Soldier have to choose a major perk to be able to reload while sprinting? I think that should be the advantage with Soldier, is that he could just reload while sprinting. Soldier's always been the hit scan that's not the fastest, but he can reposition a lot. But you're punished for repositioning a lot because you can't reload while you're sprinting unless you have the perk. I want him to always have that. I think Soldier should always be able to reload while sprinting. You get what I'm saying? So I look at a lot of these things here and I'm like, if we could just make perks more transformative and a little bit less buffs, we could take a lot of these cool ideas and just give it to them. Yes, it's power creep. Yes. But it's effectively going to be the same as what we have now. It just means that you actually could get, it's more interesting to be able to feel okay with transformative and experimentation without going like, well, I have to choose this perk because I can't play the character otherwise. I mean, you guys saw it with Lifeweaver last season. You could not play Lifeweaver without 10 healing per second. You were an idiot if you didn't choose that perk. But you also couldn't add all the perks to the base kit because that destroys the entire fun of progression and variety, and that would also be ridiculous. So that's my point, is I want certain characters that I feel like they should just have that, be able to allowed to have that, because their perks are more balanced around transformation instead of just power. But for every hero feels unrealistic to me. It's fair point, Olivine, but I think you'd be surprised at how many little things are available. I'm going to do a couple of examples later on. Your opinion may change, but again, I'm not saying that every perk has to be transformative, of course. But I'd like to move more towards that direction. I'd like to evaluate the transformative buff minor major structure entirely, as I feel like the structure is just arbitrarily limiting just for the sake of structure when it doesn't need to be that way. I'm not sure if that's actually what's happening internally, but that's what's consistently communicated to us. And it's just not even consistently followed half the time. When available, I think transformative, you ready for this one? When available, I think transformative might even want to be done earlier on map matchup transformative. The reason why they do the transformative later is I think they want it to feel fun, like you've earned something towards the end. The problem with that is that certain transformatives feel necessary earlier in the map. We talked about like the counter picking matchup transformative. It sucks to not have access to that until it's basically too late. And even worse on map ones, like the Sigma one. Like imagine if Sigma's minor perk was the float or the melee. And you would be able to actually play versus brawl tanks and play in Gibraltar 3 minutes in rather than 7-8 minutes in. You get what I'm saying? I think there are certain perks that just feel really important on different maps and matchups, and they're not available. I understand there's a concern that later transformative perks drives engagement. So in early transformative perks, we still need to make sure that the later perks are interesting, right? We still need to make sure they're interesting. Maybe more matchup transformative. But I would also argue that it's also more fun because if I get to play more with my big flashy thing, is that really a bad thing? I mean, I don't honestly know the answer to this, but I don't think it's necessarily immediately obvious here. Congratulations on the math test, dude. Nicely done. Hello, Stefano. Good job, MGBC. Good stuff, mate. But yeah, just food for thought. I'm not saying that my way is the best way. I'm just I'm playing devil's advocate, you know? Obviously, keep in mind that Custa did say they want to be careful of double dipping with perk combos that were OP in combination, but I don't think that those things can't necessarily be in the same. Okay, let's keep going. Third point here. I think they need to analyze which characters are overly reliant on perks in their base kit and balance accordingly. I think reducing hero scaling instability is a really important thing. Like, I think if we took away like Tracer or Kiriko's perks, I think their value would be a lot lower. And I think that's just something you got to kind of keep an eye on. I think like you compare Tracer to Widowmaker. Who's more reliant on perks? Well, Tracer. Can you guess which character is also stronger right now? You know what I'm saying? Can you guess which character is stronger right now? So then how do you balance around that? Well, if you nerf Tracer's base kit, she just might feel really bad in a lot of circumstances until she gets that. It is just a massive variance. We'll keep going. Doomfist Drunken Queen. Now, these guys, Drunken Queen's actually stronger, but how much of that is because of her minor perk? Even just the placement of the perk changes the power of the character. You get what I'm saying? Whereas Doomfist feels like in certain matchups, you cannot play the game until you get your major perk. And there's a huge spike in value at that major perk. Huge. It's so freaking hard to balance that, right? Because even just the placement of a perk being more powerful later, ignoring the whole base kit versus perks, just means that you have an entirely different character 9 minutes into the game. That's an exaggeration. 7-8 minutes. Kiriko to Idiari, right? Idiari has decent perks, I think. They're not bad. They're fine. But compared to Kiriko's majors, you know, even post-nerf, it's a lot different. And in general, I think that we should avoid completely free value perks for sharp characters. I think free value perks can be fine if the character's, you know, if the perk is fun. You know, I think a good example of like the Tor perk, right? Like, it's fun. It's just fun to run around fast with this. It doesn't necessarily break anything that it was already strong with the character. And being able to like throw your turret on the wall doesn't necessarily go, oh, wow, turret is OP versus... It's fine. It's fine. Some perks are just fun. Like we don't want to... I'm always the boring, you know, old man shaking hand at clouds. But like there's some perks that if it's fun, it's fun. You know? It's fun. It's fun. So let's analyze. Let me give you guys 3 examples of what I would do. Just as like kind of an example of what I'm looking to do. Number 1, Zarya. Let's look at Zarya. All 4 for perks. You've got... I'm actually going to move my face cam for this. You guys be proud of me. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that.
You have my thanks.
Huh. Okay. Jump ups. I'm going to base this off of my ideas. You know, I'm not saying that this is like a structure you have to stay with, but these are my ideas. Okay, number one, jump ups. I think it fits. I think it fits. I think having a transformative perk that definitely feels pretty map or matchup reliant on a miner feels pretty good. His webcam took an angle. Yeah, you're just hilarious. I think jump ups fits perfectly. Like, it's not wildly. It doesn't make Zarya way stronger, and it just makes her better at the thing that she's not good at all. And she's never going to be a dive tank. But I think jump ups is placed appropriately for what I'd like. Right? Energy converter. I think it's too OP, just irrelevant, right? I think it's too OP, which is why we've been seeing so much Zarya as it is. And I don't think it's really transformative enough. I think it strengthens something that she's kind of already good at. What I would do is I would swap energy converter to a major. We'll talk about that in a second. And instead, I would put spotter on miner instead. So projected barrier activates allied health generation and increases the movement speed by 25%. I would have your first minor transformative perk choice be between spotter and jump ups. Do you want more mobility in a map with more mobility, or are you playing versus these dive characters with a lot of your teammates spread out and you want to contribute more in those situations? Two bad matchups, matchup situational. You could make that choice immediately. Right? So there we go right there. Now let's talk about the majors. I would, what am I looking for here? I would nerf energy converter, sorry. So I don't think the concept of having Zarya be more effective at longer ranges, like rewarding you for alt fire, is necessarily bad. I didn't put a whole lot of thought into like details swapping around it. But I don't think it's bad. Maybe just nerf it by a little bit. So instead of 3 energy on a transformative, you get 2 energy or 1 energy, but it still pauses, you know, so it's more free value, but it's going to be better in certain situations. And then I would remove energy lance because she doesn't need that. She's already good at that. And I would say one of the old ideas that I had with Zarya is allowing yourself to charge up your alt fire to launch it further for less fall off. So it has a longer distance. You have to hold on your right fire, or your alt fire, and then shoot it. Charge it. Is that always going to be useful? No, it's not. But it's a little bit transformative. It's thoughtful. It's fun. You're going to have a lot more skill shots. It's just something different to do with. And so you have now 2 very transformative perks. One only a little bit, but they're good in different situations. Now, notice that the majors are not super transformative. At least one of them is. Like energy converter, if we keep it in a weaker state in major, it's not all that transformative, but it's pared down. And crucially, we're freeing up the major slot, the minor slots to be transformative matchup situational immediately. Okay, that's just one example. Took me 2 minutes. I don't know if it's good, but that's kind of my perspective. Zenyatta. I would like Transcendent Condemnation to move. Okay, so here's a thought. Okay, so I would like Transcendent Condemnation to be gone entirely. Hold tight before you get mad. I would like Snap Kick Verticality. Only like 6 or 7 meters. I'm talking about like Wu Young's jump height. So you jump, but you got to choose between that or Ascendance. And maybe even buff Ascendance to 4 seconds, but if not enough people are using it. So instead, give Zenyatta if he gets the angle right, jumps up to there. I know you're like mobility creep. I know. Or Ascendance, you choose. Do you want the lateral or do you want the little bit of ups? Kick jump versus float. And what I would do, depending on how Zen's performing, you could allow, I still think like from a base kit perspective, you could make it. Now, notice that these transformative perks are actually not that strong. You don't need your transformative perks to be strong. They're just more matchup map situational, right? Why would anyone take float? That's a great question. I don't have an answer for it. Maybe we need to be more matchup map, you know? The point being is that you'd be able to traverse horizontally versus vertically, which one's more valuable? Well, then you'd have to delve more into that. This is more the spirit of the change. And then what I would do is if you could possibly use it, I would like you to be able to use Harmony and Discord while you're in trance rather than AoE trance. I would like that to be part of the base kit. Here's a spicy take. I think Zen's majors are pretty good. Oh yeah, maybe if Kick Junk was on a cooldown, that's a great idea, Olivine. I think Zenyatta's majors are pretty good because I think there's a little bit of free value, but they are transformative enough to where they change a little bit about how you think about alt fire, because it's generally an opportunity cost. And dual harmony is going to change a little bit of how you think about how many ways that you're like how many things you're multitasking basically in the middle of a fight. I don't think it's too bad. Again, I'm not saying that all 4 perks have to be transformative. I'm just saying we should front load transformative perks when they're more matchup situational. And then if we're going to give free buffs, they should at least be somewhat thoughtful. You know? Is it odd to think the focus destruction should increase the charge speed? Yes, because there's already the downside of charging alt fire. Like charging alt fire is already a downside because it lowers your DPS by almost half. So yeah, now the last one I'm going to talk about is Reaper. So Orb's gonna kill me, but I think Shadow Blink is great. I was a little bit skeptical, but within like 3 days of me playing versus it and playing with it a couple of times, I like it a lot. Because it's the definition of a well-done Kiss Curse transformative. It is a lot better in certain circumstances, and it's worse in others. It's really good. So for Reaper, I would say Shadow Blink is great, but it is hilariously the most transformative perk in his entire roster in the minor. So what I would do, you ready for this one? Shadow Blink. Oh, this is going to be spicy. Shadow Blink and Dire Triggers are Reaper's minors. I know the Reaper main's going to have my head. Shadow Blink and Dire Triggers are the minors. You have to choose. Now, you're probably going to need to nerf Dire Triggers potentially cooldown by a little bit, like increase it by a little bit. So you choose, do you want the range or do you want the speed? I would remove Soul Reaving. I would remove Ravenous Wraith. I don't think either of them are interesting or transformative or at all. And this is where we get spicy. The 2 majors. You guys, this is just spitballing ideas. Again, focus more on the spirit of the change, not the execution, okay? It took me 30 seconds to come up with this. Okay, I would give Wraith a flat 50-60 heal on cast. Just flat 50-60 heal on cast. Maybe more. I'm going unbelievably conservative, but just focus on the spirit. So you pop Wraith, you immediately heal. A small percentage. Here's why. Shut the frick up. No, not over time. In fact, doing it over time would be the exact opposite of what I would do. Adding more sustain to Reaper, please. I mean, that's why we're getting rid of the lifesteal, right? Can somebody in chat tell me why it's important to not have a heal over time on Wraith? Why? Think about it. How do you use Wraith right now? Because it rewards staying in that state, right? The whole point of Wraith is that you stay in Wraith. You disengage. This rewards you for not. Nerfing an already not great character is interesting. Well, you're choosing to see it that way. I can't control what you think. So now, again, I'm not saying this is even a good idea, but this is the spirit of what we're going for. Change what you want to think about with Wraith. All right? Here's another thing. Now, I think that's what they were trying to do with Ravenous Wraith. Let me be very clear. This is not a unique idea for me. I think it's what they were trying to do with Ravenous Wraith. I just don't think the lifesteal is good enough. And yes, also top 3 DPS win rate right now. Reaper is really good right now. So, yeah. The other major perk, alternatively, would be giving Wraith a flat 50 to 60 3-second DOT when you've flown through a target. I want to say this was a Jungenstein's lab perk, but I can't remember. But basically, when you Wraith through somebody, you mark them, and they take a little bit more damage. But you have to go through them. I don't know if it's is Reaper even in Stadium? I feel stupid asking this. It is insane. Okay. Now, I would do it DOT. I would not do flat damage because I don't think that you would want more burst damage with this guy. That is so goofy. I mean, this is perks, man. So again, this is literally 2 or 3 minutes when I was writing this script of just, let's just see if I can come up with something that makes it transformative. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, at the very least, I hope you guys are getting the concept of, like, we would like more map matchup perks to be front loaded. And I would like, if we can, to have continually transformative perks throughout it because it's just fun. I don't look at a couple of these perks and I'm not exactly excited by these perks. Even we go back to Zarya, right?
We will crush them.
I've thought about the Death Blossom one. I purposefully avoided ult perks because I have a lot of problems with ult perks. Inconsistency of application, wildly making them too powerful. I mean, maybe that's a good tagline there, is that I think Overwatch is very aware of the problem with ult perks, and I do not like ult perks. I think this is by far the best example I can give you right now. How powerful do you need to make a perk to make it better than something that you can use literally once or twice every fight? And the answer is you have to make it very powerful. Otherwise, it's just not worth it. And when that's the answer, you have a real problem.
Hope shines now.
You see what I'm saying?
Headshot.
That's kind of what my point being. And that just feels like a pretty bad choice as a game design.
Recharging. Railgun powered and ready to fire.
So, yeah, that's my thoughts on ults for perks, and that's why I specifically avoided stuff with that with Death Blossom. Okay, you ready for this one? If that's what we want with Reaper, add it to the base kit. Nerf him somewhere else if we need to. Let him fly. Sure, why not? If there's something about the base kit that feels bad with the ult, they need to change it. Here's another spicy one. I think Venture's minor perk should be part of their base kit. Excavation, Exhilaration. There should be a nerfed version of that in the base kit. And crucially, I actually think that you would look at some of their other cooldowns and go, okay, if we have an entire new button, for example, like Smart Extender, right? It sucks that I have one fewer button to play with if I don't choose the right perk. I'm not saying that I love Smart Extender. I don't like Smart Extender. But if we have a free button, okay, well, like I want play, right? Like, you could argue that Clobber covered in dirt offers up, it makes another button more relevant, which is cool. But I guess that's kind of my point, right? So, yeah, you understand the spirit. Again, the most important thing is that I hope you guys understand the spirit of what I'm trying to say, which is map matchup transformative perks specifically. In other words, counterpicking, counterplay matchups and map feel better earlier. And then if we can, more transformative equals better, less power equals better because, more transformative equals better, more variety in gameplay. Less power equals better because you can actually buff the base kit with the things that we've learned. You know? What kind of ability would you give Venture? I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I'm not going to sit here and try to look smart and stuff that I don't understand. I'm not saying that we should even add a buff to Venture. I'm just saying that if you want to play Venture, you might be tempted to pick the Venture perk because you like having another button to press. But yeah, just simple thoughts. I'm really no expert. Let's wrap up this discussion with this, okay? Biggest 2 concerns with perks. We need to address the power inconsistency between perks and base kit, shrinking the gap between people like Mei Tracer with perk base kit. In other words, characters that have really powerful perks and characters that have really not powerful perks. It just makes a balancing nightmare because depending on where you are in the matchup or in the match, your mileage may vary. And the second thing, which if I'm going to choose is we need to address the
the exacerbated sharpening of strengths and counterplay concerns with perks that don't actually transform the character in the way that they need or the way that they could benefit from. That's my concern. Does that make sense? Thoughts, concerns, questions? Now, whether you agree with me about the placement of transformative perks, I don't know. I don't really care. That was just more of a fun idea, thinking about it through, but yeah. I mean, that's, by the way, that's why like Ryan's major perk with Crusader or minor perk with Crusader's Resolve was really good for players that were smart enough to play it, right? Because if you think about what Ryan really needed to do in toxic anti-tank matchups like these Orisa, Ram, Bastion, was pin around the flank. He really relied on that ability to proc his heal fast to be able to angle appropriately. So now he doesn't have that. So it's a lot harder to outplay toxic Ryan matchups. Does it mean that Ryan's weak right now? No. In fact, it doesn't even mean that barrier recharge is weak. I mean, I think it's weak, but even if it wasn't weak, it doesn't help in those painful matchups, which is the entire point of the perk on minor to begin with. Who's the healthiest person in the game right now? Oh, frick. I think Sigma has a lot of good perks, all things considered. I don't always agree with their placement, but I think there's some healthy perks. I think Bastion, I think the nade reset perk is wildly broken, but I think Bastion has some decent perks. I wouldn't mind if they swap the placement of the perks maybe, but Ashe is relatively weaker perks, but yeah, there changes some things. Bat perks are decent. So bat perks are kind of cool because you have a little bit of mobility, a little bit of frontline pressure without breaking his healing necessarily. The Biotic Reloader rewards more skill play, so it does make him stronger where he's already strong, to be fair, but it's not something that everybody can immediately leverage, which is an important nuance. And then automated healing gives him a little bit of strength where he's weak, which is the ranged heal situation. So I don't think BAP's perks are like transformative to an unbelievable degree. I mean, I think both of his major perks are a little bit transformative, so that's good. But they're okay. There's nuance here, you know. Like not everything has to fit the bill exactly. Yeah. Lucio Boot Minor seems pretty good. Yeah. I think even there's I think Ravenous Vortex or Vengeful Vortex is a really, I mean, I love it as a concept. I think it's way too strong, and I don't think it needs the extra damage, but there's certain things that change what you do. Zarya's alt fire for mobility, you know, Soldier's Majors. I think even the shield for Symmetra, like I'm not a big shield guy, but it is a choice that you have to think about, right? Like the wall turret, the movement speed with the hammer, you know. I honestly think 6-7 has to be probably the worst Zoomer meme of all time. I really think it's like indicative of our culture when you have a meme that doesn't have an amusing context. Amusing is like obviously perspective. It's subjective. But when something is anti-humor, what is the four panel comic, the anti-humor one with the kid and his pregnant wife? What is that called? The anti-humor. What is that called? What is that? That's another just loss, right? Complete garbage. It's only funny because it's self-aware. When something is funny because it's not funny, and only because of that, like there's no like I'm a big anti-funny, but it has to like originally at some point been funny and then not funny anymore, and then now it's funny again. It's like the comedy heaven kind of a thing. Like I get that, you know what I'm saying? But like Loss, 6-7, just the worst. Just the worst. And you know why it's the worst? It's not because I'm like, oh gosh, dude, Skibidi Toilet, oh please, so cringe. I feel nothing. It's nothing. It's like saying floss, guys. What does that mean? I don't find that amusing or ironic or goofy. It's just,
It's nothing. I could literally just say armpit. It just is. People just decided arbitrarily. You laughed at that? Whatever. Yeah. Yeah. So whatever, man. You do you, man. I'm not saying it's criminal. I mean, you're allowed to. You just. Okay, see, low taper fade. I looked up low taper fade meme, and there's like some pretty funny images. You know, there's like, what a cornball. I looked up 67. Nothing. It's not even like ironically amusing. So, take the L, man. Take the L. Unk would giving Genji beam deflect instead of healing you more balanced. I think that'd be probably too niche. Like, there's something to be said about like helping weaknesses without just like completely removing those weaknesses. I guarantee you, somebody in the comments is gonna complain about that when this gets posted to YouTube. You just want to take away counterplay, and so I'm just not, you know. I don't think Genji needs to deflect memes to be. Beams. Hate myself. Armpits. Oh no! No! I will not. No, dude, no. At least it's a funny gesture, right? Frick. Why does bro sound like Sigma talking about the universe? All right. Tier. How do you make a tier list? Tier list maker. What is this? I hate myself. Armpits. Oh no! Dude, Queen, I'm literally never gonna click a single clip of yours again. I hope you know this. Games. Okay. How do I need to like I need to like okay, where's my Steam? I'm gonna look at all the games I played here. I'm gonna have to like.
I'm gonna doing the perks channel thing. BTW.
I don't know, Brax. I was thinking maybe today, but I think I'm too tired today. Assassin's Creed 2. I'm not sure, honestly. BioShock. Okay, this shouldn't take too long. Hang tight. Make conversation amongst yourselves. Ask me questions so I can multitask. Save? Oh, no. Hi, how is everybody today? Good? Good. That's great. No, I'm not doing a perk tier list. Maybe, I don't know. Like, at some point, we're going to have to do an updated guide for Season 18, but not yet. Okay, so far so good. We're cooking. Send the armpit floss meme. Whoops. I think we're cooking. What is... I don't know. Is Sifu a thing? That's a meme, right? I'm going to get baited if I ask what Sifu is. Go ahead. Fine. What's Sifu? It's like these nuts? Okay. Oh. Martial arts game? Okay, no, I haven't played it. We're almost done. I'm having to create my own tier list, and so it's a lot of downloading. E-ladies? Little indie game called Overwatch? No.
Seafood is a somewhat common allergy that is a royal inconvenience if you decide to eat at Red Lobster.
Funny, Brax! Funny. Funny. Almost done. What's my favorite color? I don't know. I always liked black and white a lot as a kid. It's like really cool aesthetics, but I don't really have a favorite color, to be honest with you. Gothlo? Yeah. Okay, we're almost done. I think that's the last one. Yeah. I think it's the last one. Oh man, this is gonna be spicy. I'm gonna have people not liking me. Okay, here we go. Yo, it worked. We got it, guys. We got it. All right, let's update stream title. Aware of the Dragon Ball? I am aware of the Dragon Ball. Ranking the games I played the last few years. Okay, so disclaimer here is I would consider myself a very competitive game-focused person, but I'm not a video game-focused person as much. I didn't really grow up playing very many video games. We played like Roller Coaster Tycoon, a little bit of Age of Empires, a little bit of Call of Duty, a little bit of Madden at friends' house as a kid. And in hindsight, I actually think I actually played a lot of really good games growing up, like Madden 2005, Black Ops, Modern Warfare 2. But I didn't really grow up playing a lot of video games. So I just like sports and just competition and stuff like that. So getting into what I'm doing now required a bit of an educational sphere. And everyone was telling me constantly, you need to play this game. You need to try this game. And I was like, I just want, whatever. Well, one day, I'd played a couple of games, but not very many. My brother-in-law for Christmas just bought me 2 games in Steam, which I like never used. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll try them. And I realized that when playing the best of the best, there's actually a lot of really good stuff out there. I'm definitely more of a really high quality gameplay or really high quality story. I'm not super picky. Either one works. I love either one. So I'm going to try to rank the games on terms of how well it does what it's supposed to do, partly with a bias towards games that I personally like. So obviously you're going to see a definitely a taste forming of what types of games I like. This is obviously not objective, and I will try my best to explain what I think each game did very well and what I think each game did not do so well. So if any of you get things you guys have not played before, you can go give them a shot, because I might grade some things not very well, but describe it in a way that might be like, oh, well, that actually sounds like something I'd be interested in. Obviously, I haven't played a ton of games, at least in comparison to like the average person in this chat room. But and obviously we've got a couple of the games coming up as well. So will React be good here? Maybe. That might be too hard to see. That's a little too hard to see. Too much wasted space. Let's just go to just our normal scene here with our headline. Ranking games I've played. And then I'm actually gonna move my face cam here. Stefano, you're a funny feller. Not working, buddy. Nice try, bucko. Okay, how does this look, descriptive-wise? I don't know why I'm asking you. I'm the one that's doing the tier list here, but... Because I don't play bad games. I have all my games are fairly well-researched, or something that was recommended to me, or looked really interesting. So I don't play bad games, right? So, yeah. Yes, we finished perk discussion. What one should we start with? I'm going to let you guys decide. From the ones that you can see in the bottom there, what ones do you want me to rank first? We don't have to go in order here. This will be fun. Sekiro? All right. Sekiro. Peak. Love this game. Love this game. Played it through twice. Second time I played through on the hard mode, Demon Bell, parry only. It may not be for everybody. It is, I would say, a different Souls-like that requires you to play by its rules of basically constant aggression. And you cannot be a coward. It punishes you harsh. But the combat system, once you've played Sekiro's combat, and if it clicks, you don't enjoy combat in any other game. It just has ruined so many other combat games for me in a good way. Hey, what's up, Jackson? It's just so freaking good. I enjoy the story, although I think the story does have a couple of flaws. I think that'd be a couple of my complaints. Things like the dragon rot, things just doesn't really seem to go anywhere. I don't think the onboarding for the game is very good. It doesn't really explain itself all that well because, Souls-like, they're just terrible at that. But if you get hooked, I like the story. I love the Japanese voice acting. The boss design is great. It's just very enjoyable. The aesthetics is beautiful. It's just amazing. I love this game. This was the first game that I played. This was the one that my brother-in-law gifted to me for Christmas, and it's probably a large part of the reason why I was willing to branch out more, because I did not see myself as being somebody that would enjoy most games, and certainly not the whole Dark Souls genre, and I was just hooked. This is great. So if you like combat stuff, if you're like relatively thoughtful, I also think the storytelling is a little bit more straightforward with Sekiro. It's not quite as obtuse, which is nice, but it's just great. If you love it, if you like it, you love it, you know? And the nice thing about it as well is it's pretty straightforward. And, you know, if you commit to this, to the system, if you trust the system, you will get the game. Like, you will figure the game out. The problem is that people that don't, because the onboarding isn't great, they might lose faith in the parry system. And if you do, you will struggle. So, but if you buy into it, you're going to succeed. You're going to succeed. You can literally watch yourself learning live time. It's really cool to watch. What Remains of Edith Finch? I'd say very good. Very good story about trauma and family curses. I won't spoil anything about the game. It's not exactly a game. It's a very short play. I'd say probably 4 hours, most likely. I don't know that I'd play it again, so I'm tempted to drop it below, but I don't really have any issues with it. It does exactly what it's supposed to do, and I did really enjoy doing it. And I like the soundtrack, too. So, give it a shot if you like story games. Yeah, enjoyable. Enjoyable. KOTOR 2. Amazing but flawed. Really like the story of this game. Really love the nuance. This is what the sequels strived and failed to be. Exactly, Stefano. Pepper and I watched a recap. This is what the new Star Wars sequels tried to do and failed miserably, which was to, what's the term? Second guess? No, to undercut, to, what's the word I'm thinking of, chat? To like question. Subvert, right. It subverts expectations, reinvents, yes. It subverts Star Wars in so many excellent and thoughtful and well thought out ways. The whole Jedi, the good, the light side, and the dark side. Basically, it has a strong moral stance, but it proves that a lot of the Jedi Order does not behave morally, basically. And I won't spoil too much more than that. Has a couple of my favorite characters in all of gaming, including one who's probably my top 2 or 3 characters in all of gaming. There's so many good things to say about this. Now, the reason why it's flawed is because it's turn-based combat, kind of, sort of. You don't play this game for the combat. The combat's tolerable because there's a lot of build variety, which is cool. But the story is just so freaking good. And you definitely need to get, there's like a bug-fixed version on Steam. You'll have to look into it if you ever want to play it. Don't play the base version. Play the bug-fixed version. I had 0 issues playing with the bug-fixed version, but I think if you play the original version, some of it's kind of, there's some issues with it. Without the mod, exactly. That's why I'm putting it here. But with the mod, which I played, which is pretty easy. I'm not a computer guy, but I was able to figure out no problem. It's great. Love this. I don't really care about the dateness of the game at all as much. Obviously, preference towards modern games because sometimes you break immersion, but it's pretty easy to get into it. It's just amazing. It's great. It subverts the Jedi archetype a lot, yes, and it does a very good job of it. So, big fan, love it. Knights of the Old Republic 1. Probably a more cohesive game and certainly less buggy if you're playing without the mod, but I think story-wise, definitely a big step down. And obviously, it's the main reason why you would play this. Now, if you do enjoy this, the way that I'm describing the game, you need to play this one first. Because it's really good. It is very good, and I absolutely would play it again. The story is good. It's not as good as KOTOR 2, but it's very, very good. Big twist, obviously. No spoilers, but there's a huge, very famous twist in this game. Great game. Yeah. Cheers, Victor. Do you want me to do BioShock next? Oh, man, you're not going to like this one. Where's BioShock? Down there. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to start here. And I'm actually going to do it in order here. Top of very good. Top of very good. I think this game is just not a great game. It's fine. It's just not a great game. From a game perspective. I think it shows its age a lot more than some of the even older games. Or at least as equally, even though it's not. It, story-wise, very interesting. Falls off a lot towards the end, but very, very good. Aesthetic, amazing. I am a sucker for retro, post-apocalyptic, 1950s. I could literally just sit in BioShock and listen to the voice lines. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything. The voice lines, the atmospheric sounds and calls and recordings. The atmosphere is so good in this game. It just nails it perfectly. Yeah, the gameplay is just not great towards the end. There's just a lot of moving parts, and it's really easy to feel either A or one, just completely ineffective no matter what you do, but then also like you're never really in any danger of failing either. And I played it on a hard difficulty. It's like there's a lot of like weapon variety, but you end up really kind of using the same crud. Yeah, the twist did get me. It did. The combat mechanics really don't feel good, and they feel like a much more important part of the game than KOTOR, for example. Where KOTOR, you can forgive some of the combat because the variety feels somewhat meaningful, and it's not as front and center. BioShock, the combat is more front and center, and so its flaws are a lot more obvious. But it is just phenomenal story-wise. And again, none of these games are bad. Very good. BioShock is still, if I were to grade it on like an objective, it'd be like an 8.5 out of 10 for me. 8.5. You know, it's like, it's a phenomenal game. Really enjoyed it. Was very completionist with it. Really took my time and enjoyed the atmosphere and was very glad that I did. We'll say very good, but flawed. Yeah, the revolver, right. I've used the revolver a lot. A lot of the beam weapon stuff just wasn't all that good, or at least I wasn't able to figure it out as well as I'd like. The bolt weapon was really good as well, but okay. Hot take number 1. That was maybe a warm take. This one may not be a hot take. Okay, well, actually, I'm gonna let you guys decide what I do next year. Enemy types or weapon mechanics, kind of both. Very repetitive at points. Let's put it this way. I liked BioShock more when I was scared. When I didn't know what was going on, I enjoyed BioShock a lot more. As soon as I started to get more comfortable with what was going on, whether story-wise or enemy-wise, or like, it just lost a lot of its thrill for me. The first several hours of BioShock, I'm literally on the edge of my seat, and I'm going down to like the plastic surgeon level, and I'm very uncomfortable and really enjoying it. But then as soon as it gets comfortable, it really doesn't do anything to uncomfortable you anymore. Everything's pretty much just straightforward. Peak. Yeah. It's a great game. It's a great party game. Played it 3 or 4 times. Once you do it, you've done it. It's probably going to be one of those games that they probably continually update and do better, but it's fine. Friend slop, exactly. It does exactly what it aims to do. I literally had my sister over here. I don't know why I said it in that way, but my sister was over here, and I literally was pulling up some of my earlier runs, and she was dying laughing. Some YouTube videos of me playing with Stefano or whatever, Loof's in chat, the trumpet game, right? She thought that was hilarious. It's just great. It lends itself to some really goofy and funny moments. Yeah, so it's great. It's not intended to be anything more than that, but also like I just can't put Peak on the same level as Sekiro for me anyway. That was really fun. Basically, every time I've played Peak, there's been a funny story to share. You know, like the first game was a trumpet game. I had no idea what I was doing. I got lost. Whatever. Second game was me and Stefano duoing. Stefano, like we sweating our cheeks off. We get to the very end. Stefano eats Pandora and just dies. I don't even know what happened. And I'm stuck here in this volcano. And I'm like, well, I'm going to have to figure this out myself. And I made it. It was unbelievable. It was like, I thought I almost didn't make it. Like, maybe it was like, I was sweating my cheeks off. And then the third run was like Stefano. Third one was me helping. I did this thing. And another one was like Stefano carried Tom to the end. And like, there's always something funny, you know? Right. It's just, it is what it is. Yeah. But they did a good job with it. When I say major issues, maybe I shouldn't. I think I'm going to remove these monikers because they don't apply to all games, right? Like, I think Peak has like major issues. It just doesn't try to accomplish as much, you know? And there's a couple of games I think that I'm going to put in amazing that are not really flawed. They just don't aim to do as much. I'm not putting games. Yeah, I would put AoE 2 at S. Yeah, but I'm not doing like Roller Coaster Tycoon or AoE 2. I'm something like I've done the last couple of years. All right, what do I do next? Yeah, we can do Portal. Let's just stump to Portal. I'm just going to set Portal 2 in amazing. My biggest complaint with Portal 2, the only reason why it's not excellent is there's just not as much to it. It's an older game. But that's really my only complaint. I don't even think that's really a problem with the game. I mean, I wouldn't want Portal 2 to be longer. It's just not Sekiro. You know what I'm saying? Like it's amazing. The story is great. The gameplay is interesting. If you're not a puzzle person, it may not be your cup of tea, but I'm not really a puzzle person either. I know that may surprise some of you guys, but I get bored with that kind of stuff. I don't like that kind of stuff. And I was very easy able to tolerate it because I think the puzzle design was like fine. No real complaints. But the reason why I liked Portal is the story / the voice, the characters. Like, the robot guy's obnoxious, but what the frick her name is freaking just amazing. I love her to death. And Ray Johnson here. What is his name? Rage. Yeah, he got a bunch of lie. You know, he's freaking hilarious. And again, it's the same thing as BioShock with that 1950s old school Cave Johnson. Yeah, that aesthetic. It's just so much fun, so funny. It's very atmospheric. The soundtrack's pretty good too. J.K. Simmons' character, yeah. It's just great. Yeah, it's great. The reason why I think it edges out BioShock a little bit because they have similarly amazing aesthetics is I think the Portal 2 gameplay loop, it doesn't show its age as much just because the story / characters are more in front than the gameplay, but you could really interchange these two, to be honest. It's just very svelte, Portal 2. It doesn't aspire to be anything more than it already is, but it does pretty much exactly what it aims to be. Very enjoyable. Hogwarts Legacy, I put down in the bottom. Again, 6 out of 10. 6.5 out of 10. Not a bad game. Just extremely top heavy. Extremely top heavy. As in, I actually thought the soundtrack was great. I was shocked at how John Williams-esque they made the soundtrack with a lot of different composers. And I've ended up really enjoying 4, 5, 6 of the songs, and a bunch of other ones I thought did great. I thought the soundtrack was amazing for this game, especially for a freaking video game. They did a great job. Music was great. Hogwarts itself is also really quite good. It's not perfect. There's a lot of wasted space, but it's freaking massive. The castle itself is huge. It's by far the best part.
Yeah, the freaking castle is amazing. I think they did a really, like, not perfect. I think they could have done a lot more with it, but they did a good job with it. And the soundtrack also amazing. I think Hogsmeade was okay. I don't know, like they're basic, and the combat wasn't bad. There was like one storyline, I won't spoil it. You guys probably know this storyline if you've played it, that I'm talking about, that I thought was pretty good. Definitely had some was thoughtful, you know. But yeah, the combat could have been a lot worse. I was fully expecting it to be a lot worse. That's like the best compliment I can give it. It was like tolerable. Hogwarts was pretty good. Hogsmeade was okay. The music was amazing. The whole aesthetic of the game felt pretty cool here. All right, now let's get to the bad. I've never played a Ubisoft game except for one on this list. And I was like, oh, so this is what Ubisoft feels like. It's just grindy. You just checking things off a list. You're doing the same thing 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, like it just continues. You do the same thing. If you look really carefully, even the new, really pretty environments start to feel a little bit like, wait a second, this is a recycled fill in the blank. You just start, I remember catching myself at one point in Hogwarts Legacy very late in the game. I'd already completed the game. And I'm like, wait a second, what am I doing? Why am I completing this? Why am I going for a completionist with this? And I just stopped because I wasn't having fun. And there's a lot of that in this game. A lot of systems. Like I'm not just talking about like quest systems. I'm talking about exploration. I'm talking about items. I'm talking about everything. Like every system in this game has the potential to be a bit of a grind. Now, I'm not saying anything like it ain't MMO. It ain't an MMO, right? But at least with an MMO, you have a reason for the grind. For this, there's really no reason for the vast majority of the grind. And it really feels bad. It's not Ubisoft, but it's Ubisoft-ish, you know? So here's what I would say. If you are a Harry Potter fan, you should play this game. Absolutely play this game. However, stick with the main story, stick with the quests. I'm not saying stick with the main storyline. You can do all the quests. Have fun with the quests. Stick with the quests. Explore Hogwarts obsessively. Explore Hogsmeade obsessively. And then do the bare minimum for everything outside of that. That would be my recommendation. You'll probably save like 20 freaking hours and have a great time. Yeah, I'm pretty completionist with most of my games. I've pretty much completionist basically all of these games on here. It's very bare outside of Hogwarts Hogsmeade. Yep, exactly. And the gameplay loop isn't enjoyable enough to reward you for doing that. But there are a lot of really fun things in Hogsmeade and Hogwarts, and if you stick with just the quests, you'll have a fine time. Yeah. And again, like I said, the feel, the aesthetic, Hogwarts itself, the music is really good. They do a phenomenal job of building it. And so it's so good that I would not say it's a bad game. Would I enjoy it if I haven't watched Harry Potter movies? Probably not, because I just feel like there's so many other games out there. Let's talk about The Pale. Battlefront 2, okay. I'm going to be honest, I only played several hours of this game, but nope. It's probably a game that you just have to sink your teeth into a little bit more, but I feel like the more that you would sink your teeth in, the more you'd realize that it's just an inferior shooter game. I did not play enough of the campaign to give you an opinion, so I'm going to give you... Honestly, I don't feel like I have a fully educated opinion on this, but I'm just so spoiled with the shooter games that I've played that I've just so immediately noticed the problems with it. The only reason to play Star Wars Battlefront 2 is because of Star Wars. The only reason. Here's what I would say about this game. This is a game where you need to go to YouTube and watch highlights and then go, wow, I want to play this game. And then you're going to take a sledgehammer and you're going to break every single one of your fingers so that you don't buy it. That's what you do with this game. It is literally just highlight reel material. It is not that great of a game.
it's just like, wow. It's whenever you want to play Battlefront 2, it's this concept of like what I could do, and then it just never happens. It just never happens. You're like, dude, this clip looks so cool. Han Solo, like this freaking Darth Vader doing that. But then it just, yeah, no, just don't do it. Yeah. I would say this probably is a good game if you were to like invest a lot of time into it, but it'd probably be extremely frustrating along that line. So we'll move on. When am I coming to Scotland? I don't know, Kenneth. I have not played Battlefield, no. Oh, Battlefront 2005. Yes. But it's been a long time ago. I not enough to grade it. All right, what's next? I've played both Battlefront 2s. The old Battlefront 2 I liked better, but it's also older. Disco? Here? I mean, there's nothing really here to say here that we haven't already said. Good soundtrack. Great story. Gameplay is kind of irrelevant. It's just clicking and talking and clicking and talking. Actually, I think I bump it ahead of BioShock, honestly. Art style is nice. My criticism for Disco is, wait for it. Okay, actually, I'm gonna dance between the two because I'll put it at the bottom of amazing for right now, and here's why. Because its replayability is wildly overstated. I don't think it's reasonable to expect it to have a lot of high replayability because the writing is so incredibly high effort. I can't possibly imagine, but that is going to be a downside. You just don't really play this game again. Because even if you make completely different choices, you kind of end up with mostly the same. It's a great game, but it's just a really good story with some beautiful aesthetics, which means that it's phenomenal, but it's just not the greatest game I've ever played. Bro's trying to avoid getting canceled? About what? You're talking about the commie crap in this game? Bunch of communists, man. Thankfully, I was the superior moralist, so I obviously was able to... I didn't have any of those issues. Except for the one time when I failed a check and I called Kim something extremely racist. That was not my proudest moment. But I save scummed that because I was like, dude, I don't want to call him that. I'm not calling Kim. Kim is like one of my favorite characters, I think, in gaming history, dude. I freaking love Kim. Dude, you had to call him that. I was like, no, I'm freaking save scumming this 14% roll. I'm not calling him that. Yeah, so... But yeah, the story is great. I have zero complaints with this game. It's the same thing with Portal 2. Like, there is no real complaint I have with this game, which is why I think it deserves to be over BioShock. It just does exactly what it sets out to do, and it does it very well. Disco Elysium. Saves come not to be racist. Basically, yeah. There's also, okay, this is more of a minor nitpick, but it is worth pointing out. I'm sorry. The end of day 2, not having $15 means I literally can't complete the game is crazy. That's crazy to me. Do you know what I had to do, chat? I had to go to that. I'm going to give a spoiler here. So you might want to plug your ears for the next 2 minutes if you haven't played this game. It's really not a big spoiler, just a heads up. It's like basically nothing. I had to go to that crate with the billionaire and do a 3% roll, because there's no way increasing that roll, for 45 minutes! And I had that freaking refresh thing on pat. I was listening to music, I was like, refresh. 45 minutes to open that door so I could get money so I could go to sleep. There was no money. Because everybody was already asleep, and I had not saved, and like I would have literally had to gone back 3 or 4 hours in gameplay. No, Joyce was gone, bro. Joyce was freaking gone. Everyone's like, just ask Joyce. She didn't have the option anymore. It's gone.
And the worst part about it, the quick save option, which I was stupid, the quick save option, I think you can only have one quick save. I don't know. All I know is I was spamming quick saves, but the problem was that my actual last save was so far before that I couldn't go back to a time where I could ask people for money. So yeah, I was like, come on, man, there has to be some way of working around this. Punish me, sure, but don't make me restart the game. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. Anyway, spoilers aside, I was very annoyed at that. TLDR, don't go into night 2 without a lot of money. That seemed like a bit of an oversight. Like you're yeah. Well, I couldn't work for money. Like there was nothing to do. I'd already done all that. I'd even saved like $10 because I was like, I bet there's some I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? But yeah. All right, this one might be one of the spicier takes here. Let me explain. It has aged not so well. Story, it's fine. There are some genuinely phenomenal moments in this game, but the gameplay is really tough. The story and voice acting in the first 7, 8, 9, 10 hours of the game is really not good. It's not professionally done at all, to the point where it literally shattered my immersion. That freaking lady in the start of the game is obnoxious. Completely broke my immersion. It sounded like she was being recorded through a tape recorder. It was the worst voice acting and the worst voice recording and voice direction that I had seen in a AAA game ever. There were aspects of the game that were grindy, that really didn't need to be grindy. And then even the whole open world aspect of the game, which had some really good moments, was really, 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 really compressed in one specific aspect that it didn't need to be. And that was being bad sucked. Being bad sucked. I wanted to be bad just for the difference of something different. And I realized about an hour after being really bad and I remember I was playing poker or something and I lost, and so I shot everybody. Well, I realized really darn quickly, I'm like, oh man, I had a firefight and I barely lived and I'm wanted, Well, okay, so basically if you do that, the rest of the game is misery. There is not a single moment in time where you are not fighting for your life. And I was like, so I literally had to go back and undo everything to spend like another hour or two to not be a bad guy anymore because I couldn't play the game. So the whole concept of like, hey, you could be a bad guy, but it's going to suck, like really, really suck. It's like, well, dude, then I'm just going to be a good guy, I guess. So I think that was a huge missed opportunity. It doesn't fit the story at all, which obviously is true, but they really punish you. They make it miserable to play the game as a bad guy. So you just end up being a good guy and playing the game the way that you're supposed to be. And there's a lot of other things that got really repetitive about the game as well. I won't spoil too many of them, but some of the farming aspects were just not really worth your time. I think there are aspects of the game which I really liked. I think story moments were really good. Obviously, going into Mexico, that's the moment everyone talks about, was just great. There's some genuinely pretty cool moments. Story develops okay. I really liked going back to America and going north. I won't spoil, but that area is beautiful. Like really, really pretty. Going up there and hunting animals up there was really fun. I did play a part of the Undead Nightmares DLC, but at that point I'd kind of been burnt out. I'd been very completionist with the base game. Like I'd put in, I don't know how many hours, like 60, 70 hours in the base game and finished it. And at that point I was really bored of the gameplay loop. Like the flaws were getting to be pretty tough. Yeah. So the way that I look at Red Dead Redemption is I have a lot of respect for this game, more so than probably any of the games below it. There's probably going to be one more game that fits that parameter as well. but I wouldn't recommend it to play. Yeah, the ending was obviously very sad. I had the ending spoiled for me a lot earlier, but yeah. I liked the story. I thought the story was decent. I thought the story had a lot of really rough moments, though. The overarching story was good, but the details often were not always excellent. At least not as good as some of the ones above it. So I have a lot of respect for Red Dead for what it did, what it accomplished. But like some of the other games, it really showcases its age and its game design, and I don't think its story-wise was as strong as some of the other ones. Did the ending radicalize you against the government? Oh, I didn't need the ending to radicalize me against the government. All right, what's next? Somebody keeps saying Rivals. I'll put it here. Yeah, I'll put it above Peak because I put it above Peak. The reason why it doesn't get higher for me is because of how it lures you into a mindset where this is a competitive game. That's why it's not higher. I would still log into Rivals and enjoy playing Winter Soldier, a little bit of Mantis here and there, Magic. I'm sure some of the new characters are fun as well, but it cannot beat this. It's just a facade, and that for me personally really bothers me. It just baits you and then kicks you right in the cheeks. Because you're like, this, it just feels too much like a competitive game, and then just absolutely is not. It's just very inconsistent with how it plays itself. So for somebody else, it's not going to bother them. For me, I can't. I've seen the Emperor stark naked, butt cheeks hanging out, walking down Main Street, and I can't unsee it now. So that's just where it is for me. I'm not going to be ranking Overwatch. To be honest, it's kind of, I feel like that'd be such an impossible ranking. So I have not played Terraria or Valheim. No. God of War 1. Gosh darn, this is going to be freaking impossible. Which one had the Valkyries? Was it God of War 1 that had the Valkyries? Yeah. I just love the story a lot. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but it was just very poetic. It's really strong. Combat was okay. It was decent. It tried to do a lot more. It wasn't amazing at it, but it was decent. And there were moments with the combat where genuinely it was really fun. So it wasn't always great, but when it was great, it was pretty good. Yeah, I played it at hard difficulty. I enjoyed it. I felt like the other thing with God of War as well is that it felt like it earned its completionism a little bit because I enjoyed the gameplay loop more so than I had with some of the other completionist things. And also, there were like so many little tidbits of conversation that came up. They did a good job of rewarding you for kind of taking your time, which I thought was pretty good. It has its flaws. Of course, it doesn't try to be huge, but yeah. I also like referring to the combat.
I am going to spoil one boss in God of War 1, 2018. 3, 2, 1. The final Valkyrie fight on hard, when she has all, was the most challenging boss fight that I have ever done in any game ever. By a good 30-40%. Just objectively, in terms of the amount of time. I beat pre-nerf Radahn without shield, without bleed, without poise. I beat him with a normal standard dex build, whatever. Took me like 4 hours. Miserable. Couldn't see jack. Ishin Sword Saint. Parry. Demon of Hatred. I've beaten everything multiple times. Hard mode, no cheese, everything. Hours. This fricker took me 6 hours to beat her. And it was great. It was really fun. I mean, it was definitely frustrating, but her moves were like, the problem why it was so hard is she had so many moves. It took you forever to learn her moveset, but it really wasn't. There was only like one move that was kind of unfair. It was great. I unironically, and it was optional, by the way, so don't let that turn you off. You don't have to beat this boss at all. It's literally, you have to go out of your way to do it. It just was really fun. I just had a great time playing her. Or playing against her. You know, it was just great. I loved it. It's like maybe my favorite, not my favorite boss fight aesthetically, obviously. I think Sekiro or maybe even Elden Ring has moments there. But like, in terms of like the actual enjoyment, thrill of just the battle, God of War 2018, Final Valkyrie. Yeah. Story was great. It's a little bit less expansive. God of War 2 or Ragnarok tries to be a lot more expansive. But God of War does just a great job. Good soundtrack too. Good soundtrack too. Okay. Let's just keep on the train here with Ragnarok. Ah, man. You know, I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put it here because Ragnarok is the definition of trying to do a lot and not quite getting there, but also just doing a great job. Like, a lot of my complaints with Ragnarok is because it doesn't quite stick the landing. It does like a quadruple backflip and then kind of wobbles. You know what I'm saying? The ending just doesn't feel like Ragnarok. Like, again, I'm not going to try to spoil too much, but it's not. A couple of the characters feels like a little bit too much going on at the same time. We didn't really tie that thread all the way through. You know, there's just a lot of things that just don't quite feel right. But I'm dealing the negative out of the way first because I do think the combat in a lot of ways is a little bit better. And I don't know, the writing is still really freaking good, man. The writing is still, like, there are some genuinely heartbreaking moments in that game. And, like, there's a lot of, the soundtrack is great. There's also a couple of story twists and turns there that completely floored me. That I was not expecting at all. Like, it didn't even feel like I was just like, it was like one of those twists where, like, BioShock's twist, I was kind of expecting something. And maybe even KOTOR. This one was like, huh? Wait, what? Yeah, Odin is great. Thor is great. Amir, I mean, they're all good. It's more the DLC cast that I'm not quite so sold on. But if Ragnarok has a sin, it's from trying to do too much and not doing it all perfectly. But it does a lot really, really, really good. But I really did enjoy Ragnarok. And it has some beautiful soundtrack pieces. And it was just awesome. Yeah, it was a bit like Arcane Season 2. Yeah, I mean, for the hype living up to it, it was insane. And I think they did a good job. Like, they did a good job. Na and Hrolf Hrolf is one of the jail guys, right? The ones that's like in the little cave. And then Gna is the whatever the frick is the Valkyrie, right? I didn't enjoy the Gna fight as much. It was a little bit easier for me. Hrolf was really challenging, I remember. I think Ragnarok had a quantity of bosses that were decent. There were a lot of decent boss fights for Ragnarok, but nobody that I'd put in the same tier as the other one. They're all good, but they weren't. I don't know that I put them on the same tier. Now, keep in mind, I also played God of War first. So my bias goggles are like, woo, everything better about this game, not as good with this game with combat. So I bet if I went back and played, I'd probably bump up Ragnarok's boss design because I'd probably see more flaws of the 2018 version. But yeah. Yes, I played Valhalla. And Valhalla is a part of the reason why I actually put it in Amazing. Because Valhalla, for those of you guys who don't know, it's like the roguelike DLC. It was a very light little thing, you know, I don't know, 10, 15 hours maybe. It was good. It was a pretty darn good job. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was, I was surprised at how good it was. I mean, it wasn't supposed to be like some, it just was fun. I had a good time. Very satisfying DLC. They did a good job wrapping up a couple of storylines, you know. Gameplay loop was pretty fun. The progression felt decent. Yeah. I liked it. So yeah, big ups here. I don't think these are more like mainstream games, and these games definitely have their flaws, but I don't know. The story clicked with me, so the story clicked with me a lot. I saw a lot of people being critical of Ragnarok as softening Thanos, which was like Thanos, Freudian slip. I can't even remember his name. Why can't I remember his name? But like my point, I think it's a completely missed Kratos. It completely missed the point. Anyone that complains about God of War Ragnarok Kratos being softer is an idiot. Like complete media illiteracy. It's like Kratos is wiser, more mature, and people are calling him softer. It's just crazy. Right. They're like the men are not allowed, like strong men are not allowed to show emotion or to mature or develop or communicate. Like Kratos was a much better father in Ragnarok, much better father and a much better leader. And they're like, oh, I got softer. It's like, dude, you're just stupid. You're just outing yourself right there. They wokeified my Kratos. Yeah, I don't get that argument at all. I don't get that argument at all. It's like that. I saw some. Was it the Babylon Bee? There was some, or was it the Onion? There's something that said like, the conservatives thrilled that they can now objectify women again. And I was like, oof. You know, I don't know why we associate certain negative traits with being admirable. I don't get it, but that's maybe for a discussion for another time. Yeah, I think they did. The writing between this is just they did a great job. They did. I was very impressed. They did a very good job. Okay, what's next, guys? What's next? What do you guys want to do next? I enjoyed it. Elden Ring. Yeah. Major flaws. Maybe the most flawed game in the Amazing Plus tier. But it does so much. It does so much. Like, you could probably combine the work and thought and effort put into like basically every game in Amazing tier, and it would probably be like up to par with Elden Ring. Like the amount of effort and time and care that went into this game is just like, it does so much. Yeah, this is going to be full spoilers for Elden Ring. It's been out for long enough. I think it's well received enough to where people kind of know it. It's an RPG. It's open world. It can be quite hard. There's more difficulty modifiers in terms of like the spirit summon systems, because I think Elden Ring was going to be their attempt at making their games accessible, but they didn't really compromise the Dark Souls side of it. They just made it easier for more people to get into it. It's great.
It's amazing. My complaints would be its open world aspects can be a bit repetitive in terms of some of the dungeons and some of the bosses, but in terms of the world building in comparison to, like, let's say Hogwarts Legacy, every region is just beautifully designed. Like, nothing feels cookie cutter at all outside of some of the dungeons. And even then, those are still okay. It literally feels like this is a real land. Like, you moving around, you ever get this feeling where, like, the game is discouraging you from taking that route because you're not supposed to go that way. You're supposed to follow the main route and then you'll get there, It's not really open world. Elden Ring, anytime that's the case, it feels like that's because of a shifting earth. Like, the only reason you can't get there right now is because there was an earthquake 924 years ago that shifted the earth. Like, it just feels like it's a real world. Like, if you could go anywhere you wanted to. And a lot of times most of the times you can't. Like, you can actually see a place and go, I want to go there. And you're like, you can. It might take you a while to figure out how to get there, like real geography, but you can get there. I think its story has major flaws in its execution, but in the quality of what's there is, like, really hard to beat. It's massive. It's complex. It's interesting. It's just not very well told. So if it clicks with you, you're going to love it. If it doesn't, you may or may not like it. But the good news is you don't have to necessarily click with it. You just get this feeling of immense age and importance. I think balance-wise, it's much better than it used to be. They've actually balanced it since I've played it last, which is nice. But initially, it was just not good, not very well balanced for sure, but not unplayably. Boss design is pretty good. I think my major critique with Elden Ring would be, I think sometimes the combat can be a little bit roll slop, where there's not as many windows, and so it's pretty easy to abuse things like the spirit summon system and not really engage with bosses much at all, or not engage with spirit summons and then not be able to use a lot of your abilities sometimes. So I think this game is great. It does a lot of things really, really good, but it does a lot of things really poorly because it tries to do too much. But if it clicks, it's going to click really hard. And the thing with this Elden Ring is, like, if it clicks, you could spend thousands upon thousands of hours in this game. More so than probably any game on this list. I mean, more so than Rivals, even though that's another PvP game. Yeah. Did I do the Millennium? Yeah, I mean, several times. Yeah, I've beaten it once with Spirit Summons, and because I wanted to try it by the experience that they wanted you to do, and it was really fun, but I found it a little easy. And then I did it again without any Spirit Summons on New Game Plus, and I also avoided using no OP weapons, and I wanted to change my build every, like, few hours just because I thought it was really fun. And that honestly was even more fun because the sense of exploration was gone, which was a little bit a bummer. By the way, I highly recommend a walkthrough through this game. The open world aspect definitely needs your handheld. I'm going to be honest with you. Otherwise, you'll end up missing a lot. But the build variety was great, and it was much more challenging and much more engaging, and I had a great time. And also, like, the leveling system with Elden Ring also makes the difficulty scalable. Like, it's not impossible to farm in this game, and so if something's a little challenging, you can just come back. So, my criticism with Elden Ring is more along the lines that there's basically a solution for every problem that you may have in this game, with almost no exception. Like exploration, difficulty, quests, whatever. The problem with it is it has the same problem with Sekiro, but worse, where the solution is just not always easy. Like, you just have to Google stuff. And I definitely subtract points. Like, Elden Ring should be an excellent game, but the reason it's not is because it is the FromSoft problem of it just doesn't explain itself. It's a wiki game. The tutorial barely even checks the basic initial box.
You have no idea what half the systems do. You don't know where you're supposed to go. And they do a pretty good job in terms of like the world design and making it easy, but this questing is terrible, the combat's confusing. It's just too much, right? So it's too much because it does too much, so that's not really a real criticism, but I guess the reason why it's not excellent is you're not going to be able to go in and eventually it isn't. It's just a lot. Should I dive into Elden Ring? If you're willing to do your research and spend time looking for a good walkthrough, I went with Fightin' Cowboy. That's a very common choice. His is maybe a little bit outdated, but I had a great time. Then I would say yes. DLC, I'll talk about briefly. I think the DLC had a lot of high highs and was just more of the same. Major flaws. Wide open, empty areas without a lot to do, which is a problem because you can go, oh, but the view's great anywhere you go in Elden Ring. I don't need to run for 10 minutes to see a good view. The point of gaming is to have some sort of, something new or interesting or different to try out. And the loot system, with DLC, was almost purposefully baity. Like, as in, you walk all this way for this. It was just purposefully bad. Boss design with the DLC was also extremely volatile. Either very good or very bad. Nothing really in between. Balance-wise, I don't know what it's like nowadays. I assume it's much better. Balance-wise was also a train wreck. And this is made worse because one of the best parts of the DLC was the new amount of weapon variety. And then a lot of those weapons just not really competing. Right, exactly, Stefano. It's way better at like visually communicating where to go, but there's just so much more that like it's not enough. In proportion to how much you need, it doesn't get there. Do you like Renala? I think Renala was good and bad. I really liked her design and her moves were communicated clearly, but it can be very challenging to find windows of opportunity versus Renala. So I would say I'm mixed on Renala. But yeah, I think if you haven't tried Elden Ring and you are a quote unquote gamer, you're doing yourself a disservice. It is something else. That's all I'll say. It really is something else. Ronaldo, yeah. And it's really hard to kind of describe some of the visual, aesthetic, music, environmental experiences because they're unlike anything else in any other game. I praised some of the other games for that, Sekiro, even Hogwarts for stuff like that. But I think Elden Ring blows them all out of the water repeatedly. It's just unreal. And including very early in the game. First thing you really do in the game, you step out in the open world, it's unreal. It's just beautiful. Highly recommend headphones, whatever graphics quality you can afford to, and just enjoy it. Walk through ruins, first thing experience when I look for things on your own. Your mileage may vary. I went into so this is kind of that's a great point. When I was told, do not do walkthroughs, just run around and enjoy the game. I did that for about 6 or 7, 8, 9 hours. Enjoyed it. Felt like I was missing out on everything. And so many quests that I had picked up, I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. And I felt like I was missing out. The FOMO was kicking in. Now, I think if I had been locked into a room, no internet for a month, then that probably would have been a peak experience for me. Problem is that I don't have time for that. I want to be able to experience things, And so there was some of these games, for example, like BioShock, Portal, God of War, I did not use any walkthrough, no nothing, because I trusted the game to even relatively guide me. Even Hogwarts Legacy, I would figure it out. Elden Ring, I realized about 10 hours in that I couldn't trust it to help me with anything. And so I just needed somebody to help me. And I still really enjoyed it. It was not much of a compromise. It just feels so difficult to do it blind.
differ a bit. KOTOR and Amazing. Play it with the mod that fixes the bugs. Yeah, it just felt like it didn't hold your hand at all. And you just, I mean, the thing is like, it's not even like, oh, you get the feeling that you're going to miss out. No, you are going to miss out on a lot of things if you don't walk through. Like, let's not sugarcoat it. You are going to miss out on the vast majority of quests, a lot of loot, a lot of storylines, and a lot of gameplay if you don't have a walkthrough. So it just depends on what you value more. I'm not saying that you objectively need a walkthrough, but you're going to miss out on a lot. So you just need to make your choice. And for me, I would rather have things not spoiled, but see, okay, this is what's coming in the moment. Like, I would watch like 10 minutes and play 10 minutes, you know. And it wasn't really that disruptive. But yeah. Like Deacon is saying, it's a game that requires a replay through to know what to do, but then that kind of spoils the experience of doing it. So I would recommend trying it without a walkthrough for a while, but if you get frustrated, you know, don't feel guilty about it. What do you guys want to do next? We got 4 more here. But yeah, part of it's also open world stuff is just, I believe, incredibly difficult. Shadow of Mordor. It was cool. It's a gimmick. Shadow of Mordor is a gimmick played to exhaustion. It is a gimmick played to exhaustion. Wouldn't it be cool if, and the answer is, yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's kind of cool. And then that's the game. That's the game. Story-wise, especially considering the source material, it demands a lot more gravitas that it just does not bring to the table. Combat-wise, gameplay loop, It's fine. If you like Lord of the Rings, if the Nemesis system attracts you, give it a shot. But there is nothing spectacular hiding behind the curtain once you get in. What you see is what you get, and a lot more of it. They patented the Nemesis system. It's an interesting system. It's just the entire game is built off of the Nemesis system. It's literally just a Nemesis system. And even if you lean really hard into it, which I really tried, it's so it's all right. All right, what are we doing next? Ezio? All right, I'll listen to YouTube chat for once. Bad news. It just aged terribly. Grindy. Combat is hilariously bad. Like, hilariously bad. I even looked up guides on it, and I was like, wait, that's it? Surely that... Oh, okay. It's in the Red Dead Redemption 1 category of... It was, from my understanding, a big deal for the time. And so I, again, want to give it respect because of what it did for the genre, but it's just not a great game, guys. It did a lot for the genre, so we need to be grateful for it. And in that, maybe it's a Hall of Fame game because of what it did. You know, a lot of the parkour and stuff was pretty okay. But it just isn't a good game, in my opinion. It just felt terrible. And I have an even spicier take on this regard. All right, 2 things. One, the soundtrack is the best part of the game. I actually really enjoy the soundtrack. It has a consistent theme that plays throughout, and they do a lot of different plays on it. It has a beautiful soundtrack. I really enjoyed the soundtrack of this game. Probably top 4 or 5 soundtrack on this list here. But here's my hot take. I think the story is kind of mid or even below mid. At least in terms of this list, I would say it's poor in comparison to this list. Maybe compared to other games, it's pretty good. Maybe at the time it was pretty good. It's just not a good story.
Main character's fine. But they're like, you get to fight the Pope. It's mid. It's mid. It's just not that great. It's epic without really the good storytelling or the good writing to back it up. It's fine. It's fine. There's nothing good or bad about the story. And in comparison to everything else here, which if you look at most of these games have like S tier, A tier, B tier stories. Assassin's Creed, nah, it's mid. It's mid. So this is kind of why it's down here. Gameplay wise, mid. Combat wise, mid. Story, mid. Music, amazing. Yeah. So I wouldn't play it again. And I would not recommend this game again here. I think this is kind of the crucial thing and why it's near the bottom is because there are reasons to play some of these other games. I just don't see a reason for anybody to play Assassin's Creed 2 unless you're an Assassin's Creed fan. And I'm sure if you're an Assassin's Creed, somebody who wants to try Assassin's Creed, maybe a Kraken can help me. If you're brand new to this genre, what would be the first one that you'd recommend to people? And this is the one that I got recommended. And I was like, surely this is not where we should start. Surely this isn't it, because it really, I was like, man, I don't want to play another Assassin's Creed game, man. So it's just a bit of a culture shock. You know, it feels old, really old, where some of these games, even BioShock feels old gameplay wise, but you don't have to just engage in the gameplay, you know. Good to know. Okay. All right, last two, Deadlock or Night Rain. One of these is going to have a funny placement. Deadlock. All right, here's the funny placement for Deadlock. You guys ready for this one? Oh, no. Shoot. There. Here are my thoughts in Deadlock. So I've played, don't know how many hours Deadlock. Not too many. 6, 9, 10, 12, 4, 5, a decent amount. Deadlock, I think, has the potential to be a massive disappointment or maybe the game of the year. I haven't played enough, and it's also still in development. It needs to come out first. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, for those of you guys who don't know, it's literally not even out. I mean, it's not even like in a proper beta. Biggest things that click with me with Deadlock are its complexity, which it's unashamedly complex, which I think is great. Obviously, Valve is a good track record, right? And I also think in terms of class/hero design, aesthetics, voice lines, abilities, and so on, there's a lot to give credit for. There's a lot of potential in this game. A lot of potential in this game. So much so that, like, I'm not planning on pivoting to Deadlock. But if you said, you have to quit Overwatch, otherwise I'm going to blow up your house, what game are you going to go to? I'd go, first game that pops in my mind is probably Deadlock. Even though I've only played half a dozen hours. I'm like, I wonder. I don't know if it's going to be, if I'm going to enjoy it that much, but it makes me wonder. Buckshot Roulette. I mean, Buckshot Roulette would be in the bottom. So we'll see. We will see. But the question is going to be the execution, right? The question is going to be the execution. PvP games are by definition controversial, so I'm not going to hold controversy against it. But is it going to be my type of thing? Because it is a MOBA. It is very much a MOBA. And that comes with a lot of baggage, both bad and good. A lot of farming, a lot of PvE, a lot of snowballing, a lot of things that are unique compared to the first-person shooter genre. For example, the element of like stealth and surprise is sometimes difficult. Like, for those of you guys who don't play, like if the enemy sees you, like you're on the mini, there's a freaking mini map.
I've seen a lot of people are like, I wish Overwatch had a mini map. No. Overwatch does not need a mini map, but Deadlock has one, and that's just kind of par for the course. So, I don't know how I feel about that. It's kind of like there's certain aspects that are a lot easier than Overwatch, and there are certain aspects that are a lot harder. Why would Rivals not be the game to swap to as Overwatch was mouse? Because Deadlock, I believe, I have more confidence in its competitive integrity. And so therefore immediately interests me a lot more. That's insane, a Kraken. So I'm just not so sure if it's for me, it's less so about whether Deadlock's a competitive game and more so along the lines of, is it going to be the type of competitive game that I would really enjoy? It's merit. Oh, that's funny. The real merit, not this Korean fraud. Yeah. So we'll see. 5,000 hours is like disgusting degenerate level. I'm not going to lie with you though. So we'll see. We'll see. Keep an eye on it. If you haven't played it, if you're interested in there is a lot of aiming involved, which is cool, which is why I definitely kind of looked into it. But my experience playing Deadlock at the start with my non-MOBA brain was ego duel everybody because I'm better than all of them mechanically because it was like bronze lobbies. And then either 5v1, literally 5v1. I wish I had it recorded. I 5v1 like multiple times in a game. We won because of the early placements, right? Or get destroyed because that person has 20,000 monies and I have 10,000 monies, and I'm like, dude, I'm better than him. He can't move. He's missing all of his abilities, and he one-shots me. And I'm like, oh, this isn't fair, because I'm not playing the MOBA. I'm playing the first-person shooter, or third-person shooter, I guess. So, that doesn't mean the game is bad or good. It just means it's different, and so we're just gonna have to wait and see. He's fully employed as well. When does he sleep? Like, how does that math out? Like, how long has Deadlock been out, guys? Like 16 months? 15 months? What? So like 400 days of playing Deadlock. That's over 10 hours a day. There's no way. There's just no way. Maybe it's like it counts menu time, because that would explain it. Because you would be logged in, let's say you're logged in overnight. That's just going to add like 7 or 8 hours. Has to be counting idle time. Has to be counting idle time. Yeah, he just leaves his PC on overnight. Okay. Right? Literally, he's unbelievably sleep deprived if he is. It has to be idling. Because think about it this way, guys. The last 2 weeks, if we count 8 hours of sleep per night, that's 112 hours of those 197. Which means if we say 85, that's like 5 to 6 hours a day, so that's still a lot, but yeah, okay. So we're good, I think. Still a lot. Okay, last one. Oh, man. Yeah, I think that's where I put Night Rain. I'm curious what Stefano thinks. It's just really problematic. I think the vast majority of the reason why I like Night Rain is because I like playing with friends. If those guys don't know this, it's like the Elden Ring roguelike kind of baby. It's basically baby's first multiplayer for FromSoft. It's good. It's a terrible roguelike. It's fun because Elden Ring, which means weapon variety, fun bosses, build variety, which it already has. But it just isn't a good roguelike. There's just not enough variety in the maps and the bosses. It's very repetitive. They just released a hard mode, which is incredibly hard. Like, incredibly hard. Like, the best players in the game right now are really struggling with it. But it just didn't add a lot of variety. So I'm gonna keep playing this game, to be honest with you guys. I'm gonna keep playing this game. I enjoy this game. And out of the ones on this list, I'm not playing any of these games with friends.
Like literally none of these are PvP games, right? At least for me. So I'm going to keep playing it. And I'm looking forward to the DLC. And yeah, I basically, here's the thing with Night Rain. If you are not willing to experiment, you're going to get bored. I really like playing different classes. I force myself to try unmeta builds or weird strategies. And as long as I've done that, I've been able to keep the game fresh. But Stefano, Tektra, I don't know how he keeps enjoying this game. I think he's getting a little burned out because he plays the same class, the same character, the same way, basically the same time over and over and over again for the most part. And I think if that's the type of person you are, if you're not forcing variety, you're not gonna enjoy this game. So I think this game has potential, but it's really FromSoft flexing their wings on things that they just are really bad at. So the source material is really good. The balancing, they just did their first balance patch since its release recently. It's at least a month and a half, 2 months too late. And it was just half-baked. The patch itself was okay, but it just showcased a real lack of understanding of how to balance and create games and design heroes. But the source material is still good. It's still fun to play. And I put a lot of hours into it. But like Stefano says, I like it because of like my friends. Yeah, and there's a lot more replayability than for me than something like a Rivals or a Peak in terms of what we're doing. But if you like Rivals a lot, if you liked Deadlock a lot, you'd probably end up doing that more. So yeah, it's not like a meaningful experience that makes me think, Yeah, I get that. I get that. For me, it's more about like, I like trying different builds. That's the biggest reason why I like Night Rain. When it gets down to like, I have to like memorize boss matchups and stuff, I start getting bored. I like experimenting with builds. Can you play with a steering wheel? Probably. Yeah, the meat of the combat. Right. So Elden Ring's combat's strong in terms of its variety. It's not strong in terms of its integrity. And they undercooked in the variety outside of the weapons, if that makes sense. So it's more of an experimental game, I think. Pretty clearly from the way that they've communicated about it, that it rather than a serious project. It's more along the lines of let's see how this goes with PvP, with roguelike, with network coding, multiplayer. Like FromSoft just doesn't do these things, and so I think they're trying it. So I've not played Hades. Yeah, there's a full list of games of things that I'd like to try, but these are just the ones I've been using. Okay, that's the list here. Obviously, there's no Overwatch, there's no Age of Empires 2, there's no Roller Coaster Tycoon. Some of those are basically impossible to place, but yeah. Baldur's Gate 3. Overwatch is like such a hard game for me to place. Honestly, Overwatch is like the most difficult game for me to place. God of War favorite weapon? Ooh, I can't remember all the weapons. What are all the weapons? Is it the lightning spear, the ice axe, the fire swords? I feel like I'm forgetting one. Axe, spear, blades. I like the axe the most, personally. I like the axe the most. The ice axe. I think that was my favorite. I didn't really have the experience in the earlier one, so. Which Wust is Crane in Season 18, a newish player? Looking for advice? Which Wust is Crane? Any Craners in chat? I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know of any Wusts that are craning right now. Give Shadow of War a try if you thought more was even. Which favorite game of all time? Ah, man. I mean, it probably Overwatch, honestly. Probably Overwatch in terms of the one. Yeah. Obviously, there's like a sense of like, that's been my job for a while.
But it'd be really hard to step away from Overwatch. Love Age of Empires 2. I don't play it basically at all, but I love following the pro scene. Roller Coaster Tycoon's great. Sekiro's great. Yeah. Sifu, okay. Yeah, well, in the future, when I'm open, maybe before Black Friday on Steam, I'll open up my my gates to suggestions for video games, and maybe we'll knock out another 5, 6, 7, or 8 next year. Shadow of War remembering his inner Tolkien nerd jump off the bridge. I'm already aware of what you're referencing to, and yeah. No, I'm not doing Silksong right now. Although Hollow Knight is on the list of things that people want me. I don't think I'd like that type of game, but I'm still probably going to give Hollow Knight a try because what people told me is that Hollow Knight is like best in slot for its genre or one of the best in slot. So if I like it, then that might be a good sign for the genre. If I don't like it, well, then I can kind of wipe off that genre most likely from the list. So it's like, hey, if you don't like it, no problem. That probably narrows your tastes, Guess what I would recommend? Yes. 2D game? I don't know. Maybe. Lies of Pi or P. Expedition 33 is on the list for sure. Mass Effect, maybe, yeah. When I say Hollow Knight, I'm talking about like the side scrollers, like the freaking, I don't know what the platformers, maybe. I know that I'm saying a slur because I'm sure platforming is like 5 different subgenres, but I don't like platformers that much. So like at least visually. So I would need to try it out and see what happens. Metroidvania. Cheers to Kraken. Metroidvania. By the way, fun fact about a Kraken now that he's gone, so I can compliment your Kraken. So you guys saw a Kraken in Twitch chat. I don't know if you guys know who Kraken was. Kraken was the flex support player that I used to coach back in the Sydney Drop Bears. And he actually was excellent flex support, had a good potentially be Overwatch League level. And he actually was coached by Gunba for a while. You guys know Gunba, Coach of the Year, back with the Florida Mayhem. So fun little fact for those pro Overwatch fans. Just giving the common term. Yeah. Lean into any fighting game? I don't know. Fighting games are tough for me. Fighting games are like, I don't want to get into them because it would have to be all or nothing. Yeah. There's a reason why the vast majority. So if you notice a pattern here, they're basically all single player games. Almost all of them. And that's because there's a reason why that's the case. I don't have brain space for multiple PvP games. I'm too competitive, and there's things that I like to do outside. If I'm going to be competitive with something else besides something, it's going to be probably something sports related. So like I have like a really hard time. Like I don't play League. I've avoided Deadlock. I don't even freaking play Age of Empires, the game I actually really like for that exact same reason. So you're going to see a heavy bias towards single-player games. I barely have time to even maintain masters on Overwatch. You know what I'm saying? And I really don't, honestly. Like I'd say I'd only maintain masters on Overwatch and characters that I'm actually good at, Like if I were to go back and play, I don't know, I'd say I probably could maintain masters on nowadays, especially on every character that I've grinded. But like if I were to go, like, let's say back to Winston, like a character I haven't grinded in a long time, I would not be masters on Winston, I don't think. So it's just like, yeah, I don't know. Civ games or Stellas? No. I like games that allow me to experience the quality of the game and have a great and be done in 50, 60 hours. Otherwise, it's just like it's a little overwhelming.
You lose my sanity, yeah. Play Persona, then 120 hours. Is Persona that thing they were teasing with Overwatch recently? I remember people saying like, "Oh, Persona." I'm like, "What does that mean?" And they're like, "It's a show or something." I don't remember what it was. Yeah. All right, before we wrap this up, what are y'all's hot takes from the games on this list? Which ones did I get really wrong? I'm gonna get a little bit of water and we'll wrap this up. Which ones did I get wrong? Battlefront 2. Now, this is the new Battlefront 2, keep in mind. Old Battlefront 2 is definitely nostalgia goggles, but I still think it's a pretty solid game. Where's Overwatch? Well, we talked about it. Too much politics around Overwatch. It'd be too complicated. I'd be like, excellent. And some days, you know. Put Bioshock higher since I really like the gameplay a lot. Yeah, I mean, if I like the gameplay more than I did, it would definitely be an amazing game. I think Portal 2 West is Crane possibly, but I understand if that's a hot take. Good to know. I agree with that one. Either woke or lib. I don't know about turn-based. I mean, I haven't really felt like I've played a high-quality turn-based combat game, so I can't really say. Like, let's not pretend that KOTOR actually has good turn-based combat. It's like Dungeons and Dragons 2002. You know, it's the story in the game itself is good enough to carry it despite that. But I'd probably move back Elden Ring one. Maybe I forgot to place these in order. I might do this, actually. This would probably be my final ranking. Red Dead 1. It's Red Dead. I've not played Red Dead 2, although I have it, and it will probably be the next game that I play. Because I think I play... So, see, I am the anti-average brain rot video gamer. I have played everything on my Steam list, with the exception of Journey and Red Dead 2. Actually, that's not true. I'm on observation duty. One of my friends bought me a bunch of those games, and she wanted me to play them on stream, but I haven't. But I'm not really interested, and I haven't played them yet. But I've played everything on my Steam list. Think Elden Ring deserves to be next to Sekiro? I've heard great things about Red Dead 2. I'm predicting Red Dead 2 to be in the amazing tier. I'm predicting Journey to be in very good. Sack Flame. I get that. All I'm going to say is salmon, brother. You get what I'm saying? Salmon. You'd put Elden Ring at very good at best. Yeah. I mean, I think that some of these games, I think, are a lot more, I hate to use the word term objectively, but they're certainly a lot more volatile. I think Sekiro is volatile, Elden Ring, volatile. God of War Ragnarok, probably more volatile. KOTOR 2, more volatile. I mean, most of these games are going to be more volatile. I think Rivals is a pretty volatile game. Shadow of Mordor, volatile. You know, not a lot of these play it safe. A lot of these games tend to take more risks, which is a good thing. We want that. It means that high highs, but all because, I mean, if it doesn't hit, it ain't going to hit. Pong. I've played Pong many times before. I grew up playing Atari. That was like my only video game exposure. Playing Atari with my dad. That was really fun. Yeah, there's always a subjective rank. What I'm saying is, like, some of these games have a lot more good and bad going for them. So if the bad or the good hits, it's going to really hit. God of War, how's the gameplay and combat? It's okay. It's solid. It's all right. But it is definitely more of a story game. Yeah, Portal feels like a lot less of a controversial game. Like, I think everybody would probably like Portal. It may not be everybody's favorite game, but it just does exactly what it aims to do, and it's not pretentious, you know. So TF2, I've tried TF2. I tried it back when I was very early on in my Overwatch career. So I don't think I really gave it a fair shake, but it did feel a lot of the aspects of TF2 felt very jarring, like movement conservation and so on. No, I did not play Portal 1, and I did not miss really much. Disco Elysium, Squukong. Sarah Lee. Yeah, no problem. Nice, Raxus. Agreed. Favorite game cover here? I mean, I just picked up random pictures here, so I don't know. AC2 is clean. KOTOR is also very eye-grabbing. That mask is eerie. Lord of the Rings. Yeah, we didn't have... These are more like recent last couple of years games, Squukong. Malekith fan? Yeah. Cyberpunk on my backlog? I don't know. I'll have to double check. I have a list. I'm obsessive like that, man. I've got a freaking document with... I've told you guys about this, but I have my movie list, you know. I've got my perma list of artists that I check on Spotify every about year. I check to see if they've released anything new. I am not an algorithm, dude. I do my freaking research. If I like your crap, you're going to hear from me again. I'm the guy that checks... I'm the real hero that checks my YouTube subscription feed and doesn't necessarily follow recommended for you. You get what I'm saying? I subscribe to you. I'm checking your stuff. I'm gonna watch every video, but I'm gonna check to see if I'm... So, yeah. I got a freaking document with a lot of games on there. So... yeah. Whole random shuffle, algorithmic. Not me, man. I'm fighting the power, bro. I'm fighting the power. Nice, Icy Peps. Good stuff. I think the 30-minute replay reviews are... I don't think there's much of a backlog on those. I opened up a couple of hour-long sessions in the second week of October, which I had blocked out because I thought I had some work stuff that I didn't end up having to do, which got postponed. But aside from those, I might be booked out like 6 weeks. I don't even know if those are still there. But for the 30-minute reviews, I think they're sooner. This was fun? Yeah, this was fun. Thank you guys for hanging around. Cyberpunk 2007, Phantom Liberty, not just from a narrative battle gameplay. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Thank you. Reads through every terms and conditions. No, I don't do that. Whereas Overwatch? Overwatch is the meta tier. We're not doing Overwatch. We're not doing games that I've played since childhood or games. These are all like newer games the last couple of years that I've played. Yeah, Jarl, just send it to me right now. Link the thing right now. Yeah, I'll look at it real quick. Avid Genji and Freyendor. Nice, man. Good taste. I think if I didn't coach Overwatch, it would definitely be in the excellent tier. Because I still like playing it today, even though it's like hours and hours of my life every day, and I still enjoy playing it. Like that, you can't fake the passion that I have, and that's not a compliment towards me at all. It's just a really great source material, you know. So, have I ranked sports yet? Sure. Why not? Is there a sports tier list? Is that even a thing? Wii Sports. Freaking nerds. Work. Bro, this is trash. What the frick is this garbage? Dude, this is, I don't want the freaking NFL. Just sports. These are terrible pictures, but we can try and do a couple of these. I'm gonna do only to play. The ones I haven't done, I'm not gonna do. Pickleball? I would say flag football is, I guess, tier. I'm your Huckleberry. Why is chess on here, bro? I haven't done a lot of these. Why is Valorant and CSGO? What moron made this list? I don't know. I'm not even really putting much. I haven't played a lot of these. Judo? But this is 2 judos. Or is that Taekwondo? I mean, I don't know. This is pointless. Flag football is great, especially flag football is amazing. Basketball is amazing. They're both just really easy to pick up sports. I don't enjoy soccer as much, but I get the appeal. It's really easy. It's really great. Has obviously cultural appeal. I don't really have an opinion on mouse acceleration because I don't feel like I'm studied enough. Kabaddi. This one here. That's cool. Thoughts on rugby? I've never played it. I've watched a lot of highlights of it and it looks cool. I've watched even a few documentaries on the All Blacks. I read a book on the All Blacks, New Zealand. Boxing is, so I say this as a guy who used to teach boxing, it's not something you really should be exposing yourself to. It is not good for your brain. Even when you're doing a lot of light sparring, you got to be really careful. It's repeated head trauma. I have never played Valorant. I've played one deathmatch game of Valorant. Never played it. I realized that you couldn't strafe with Valorant without spraying. And I was like, well, this sucks. I like moving. So I stopped. So I want to move. Running. Hot dog eating. Where did Jarl of Reds? Where'd you go, mate? Drop your freaking highlight. Where'd that guy go? Movement guy hates Valorant. Millions shocked. Yeah. Imagine if I coached Valorant, dude. I would be insufferable about angles. I would be positioning, but dialed up even more and nothing else. Gosh. Valorant needs a Winston, yeah. I remember somebody was telling me about some guy named Woohoojin. They're like, oh, you're like the Woohoojin of Overwatch. And I was like, what? And then I just saw I looked it up, and I saw some guy with a banana costume yelling at some gold player. And I was like, oh, man. I don't like this. I don't like, you're not your PC, so you can see it in chat history. I can't resend it for a few minutes. You could just do it for next stream if you want. If you're around next stream, just do an IOU. You know what I'm saying? An IOU. I've not done a shooting competition. I've shot at a range a few times, but I've not done a shooting competition, no. It's fun. I mean, like, laser tag is more fun because I get to actually shoot people. And unless you're in Chicago, you're not exactly allowed to shoot people in the United States. So laser tag is fun because you can, like, literally just be like, oh, I know how to play Overwatch, so I can just win laser tag. Freaking off angles, crosshair placement. Freaking laser tag, it's so broken to peek corners low. Wins every time, man. Every freaking time. Don't let the ops know. But my thing with I'm wondering about like FromSoft. Holy crap! Like Airsoft and stuff and paintball, but I don't know. The respawn time just gets me every time. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Detroit, that's good. Was that your main problem with Rivals too? Because you can't strafe and crouch. I don't remember what Rivals strafing like. Crouching didn't really bother me that much. But yeah, it's a fair criticism. It's different. It can get really expensive too. Yeah. My city's catching strays, so who isn't there? Yeah. It is what it is. I feel like a lot of these sports I would probably like actually really enjoy, like cricket or whatever, rugby, whatever, if I actually tried it more. I don't think there's probably a single sport here that I would actively dislike. These are just, you're probably seeing more a scale of like, how much have I actually played these sports versus how much I actually like them. Like, I've not really played much soccer at all, and I enjoyed it. I barely played any pickleball. I enjoyed it. So, but I mean, even bowling is fine. Like, bowling's fine. You know, so. The reason I like football more is the type of skills that I value, which are quickness, agility, and so on, hand-eye coordination are like a little bit more like you can just juke easier with football. I love freaking juking people. I love just raw speed. And I'm not saying that those aren't relevant here as well. They're just a lot easier to like every play you can do that. I find that very fun. It's why I even like Ultimate Frisbee a little bit, even though that can be a little bit more endurance, but because there's just as many opportunities to use those athleticisms. Am I allowed speed for stopping? Is that a racer dude? I didn't rate BJJ. It's good. I assume this is BJJ. That looks like judo. I don't know. It's kind of hard to see. What even is this? Like, trail biking? Have you ever skated? Ice skated? Yeah. I used to rollerblade a lot as a kid, and I've ice skated several times. I enjoyed it. F1 Superstar? Gotcha. Wait, yeah, you're right. That's League of Legends. Trail biking. Trail biking, guys. You guys want to play the trail biking MOBA? I'll play a little bit of volleyball. It's fun. Might be lacking in stature. How tall is the average volleyball? Is 5'9" short? It's probably pretty short for volleyball. Wrestling annoys me because wrestling is like sports jiu-jitsu. I don't like sports jiu-jitsu. It's like doing things for points that are mostly correlated with superior position. But I'd be like, bro, I just want to submission. Like, I don't know. It just messes my brain. Freaking League of Legends, bro. That's insane. Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly, Ryu. No, Queen, you're thinking of like professional wrestling, not like wrestling. Let me showcase the difference. I'm just gonna type in WWE. Here. This is the wrestling that you're thinking of, Queenie. And yes, it's a show. It's fake. These are crazy athletes that are putting on a show. Some of the stuff that they do is legitimately like insane. Like it takes, I don't know how many hours to do some of these things, you know, but this is fake wrestling. I mean, if the outfits didn't clue you in, you know what I'm saying? But Olympic, we'll say Olympic wrestling is a athletic thing. Like, this is real wrestling, quote unquote, real wrestling. Where there's like specific rule sets, but 120, yeah. Wrestle at the state with your prosthetic leg? That's insane, dude. It's too bad there's not like physical abuse a lot, because imagine like some guy's got a superior position, you just pop your leg off and you just start rapping him on the head. Listen, man, anything goes in a street fight, you know? You train like you would, you gotta train like it's legit, you know? I just imagine how funny that would sound, too. Seriously, wrestling at state, though, is crazy, though. Alright. Without it on, and I prefer it that way as well? That's crazy, dude. I bet your other leg is freaking super strong. Alright. Frick, dude. Why is it not working? Okay. Benching 215 at 120 is nutso. Okay. We live. Groovy. Wasted jump, I think, so you might be able to get out. Oh no, he hit his head. Oh, messed up punch. Wait. 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 I thought he got his ankles shattered, but no, he didn't. No. He's staying locked in. This is really stupid. See, now you might be able to kill him. Oh no, he's got help. What is going on? What is going on? This guy's still finding time to fit in sprays. Listen, your HP is going up. Your HP is going up. I'm just gonna point out, your HP is going up right now. Stop spraying, you fricker. Dude, you might be able to kill him now. Oh, you can't play Bubble, though, dude. I see this problem all the time. You guys have to respect Bubble, bro. Bubble, I don't care who you are. If you're Bastion, Mount, you gotta respect Bubble. Dude, I want you to look at, like, what we enter here. We enter at full HP. And we exit at half HP. And he's taken only 150 damage, and you landed a couple of, like, you lost that HP trade significantly. Bubbles, and this is versus a Doomfist. Yeah, you got this now, I think, because now you can. Did you get Empowered Punch? What happened? Yeah, you did, I think. Oh, that's insane, dude. Honestly, memes aside, it's 1 for 1 and you won it. So, yeah. That's crazy, dude. Lost all second point, though? I mean, yeah, but that's hindsight, you know? Like, they lost their tank, too. I mean, if you really want to get, you know, crazy with it, if you're on a Sojourn Lifeweaver or uncontested, I think I favor you guys holding defense high ground. I think they miss their tank more than your team misses you. Because I think Winston is really important when you're trying to contest map control and a hit scan. I mean, if I really want to delve into the details here. You know, that's obviously missing a little bit of the other context, but I would gladly take the 4v4 if I was your team here. All right, I'll look at this one real fast. That's funny. Well played. Free spams or angles, but it's less of a problem when he's focused. I mean, you could describe any character as that. Okay, 7 minutes. It'd be about here. Here. Oh, too far. I eyeballed it wrong. Shoot. All right, team fight time. All right. Nade. Death. Genji angle. Nade. Genji getting poked. Zarya walking up. Maze 1. Bubble used. Zarya charged. Dragon used. Genji split. Genji, dude, what has your maid done? Like, honestly, like, I'm not trying to throw shade here, but what has your maid done? Whiff, whiff, whatever. Whiff, whiff, whiff. Nade. Okay. Right. Okay. Angle. Deflect. Flip the map. Storm arrow used. Reaper nanoed. Reaper out. Reaper responds really late. Somehow she gets the touch, gets the trade. Dies. Not the end of the world. Nade is used again. Not a good nade, though, because that should have caught 3, and now Ana should freaking die. Genji kills Hanzo. Reaper kills Wu Yang. Ana should die. Ana may die. Are we going to beat this? No. No way you 3v1 this, right? No way, dude. There's just no way. You have the lifesteal, though. And we get the deflect. That's stupid, dude. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. The Maze, your younger brother? My bad. Yeah, the deflect heal saved him. Yeah, deflect and the lifesteal on the blade. That's crazy. Well played. Well played. Well played. Ban Genji skill issue? Yeah, I mean, he had full resources, they had none, and they just missed all their shots. Don't let anybody gaslight you into thinking the deflect heal's terrible. Genji broken. Yeah, GG's, I guess. All right, y'all. That's all. Saturday, I guess we have OWCS. No, Saturday, right? Pro Overwatch stuff. The meta's been really fun, really spicy, so it'll be really fun to watch. I think we're going to hang out with Hottie as well. So we'll be, thank you for Strip. You're welcome. So Hottie will be here. And, yeah, so we'll have a good time. Yeah. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night. Take care of yourself. See you guys in 2 days. Loves and kisses. Oh, and yeah, and I missed this question earlier, but in terms of like the best perks channel, we may or may not do that in stream. We probably will do that in stream, but there's no like really any huge rush. We might do it next week. I don't know. So we'll see.